All right.
Start that again. Hi, everybody.
Dude, I never do that. I just couldn't get through it. I don't know what happened.
Just came up.
I ran for the first time in like 2 months. I was at the gym, got a good old 4 miles in. So maybe that's what's got. And I got 20 minutes in the sauna too.
Are you at your target weight?
No, dude, I need to get down at least 20 pounds, which I'm probably going to do by like the next end of 2 months. Because I lose weight very quickly, dude. I lose weight very quickly, but I can gain it really quickly. And I've been through this cycle like 3 times in my life. And usually when I end up winning the weight, when I end up getting the weight back, it's November, December. So I lose it in the summer. Then Christmas, I just like pig out, and then I don't lose it again for like another 5 months.
You're like, thanks for all the big sweaters, guys.
It's so sad, dude. By December, I become a pig.
I think that's with everybody. It's kind of hard to maintain all year round. I will say this though, like that the speed with which you bounce back and forth, it gets harder as you get older. So just get a handle on it now. Yeah, it's so much easier to maintain because it does get harder to bounce back after a while. Oh,
that's facts. Facts. Chris is not going to be on tonight, guys. He is really tired. His wife just texted me like this guy's knocked out right now. She can't even wake him up. Vitaly will be on in a second. He's just fixing his camera.
Living Wage is yelling at us. Both you and Cashflow have been slacking off lately. Yeah, what's funny is, only 2 junkies. What's funny is, right, like just now when we started reducing the number of episodes, shit got crazy.
Right.
Shit got crazy. Yeah, on Friday, what was it, Thursday? With Elon, when he texted that, I was like, oh, we gotta wait to talk about this till Monday. He's like, oh shit.
Okay, so we'll talk about that. But before that, I did watch a movie. I watched 2 movies, dude.
You finally know what some of this shit means.
Somehow my ass stayed in bed for 4 hours straight and watched 2 movies last night. I can't believe I did it.
Wait, you went back to back?
I went back because I watched the first one. It was pretty good. Back to the Future is what I'm talking about. And then everyone on Twitter was like, you got to watch the second one. And then I got kind of curious. I was like, well, shit, is the second?
Like, how do you top this?
Yeah. Now, the second one, I don't think was better than the first one. I think it was good, but I don't think it was better than the first one. People were saying the second one was better.
Debatable. I mean, what makes?
Did you see the second one? I already know what you're talking about.
I watched them both. He watched them both.
Did you watch the third one too?
No, I'm gonna do that maybe tonight or next week. But
it's worth checking out.
The second one was cool because when you grew up in that time period and you saw a hoverboard, you were like, "Oh my god, I want that!"
Dude, I remember.
Yo, that was pretty cool, dude. Yeah. We don't have those still. We still don't have hoverboard.
No.
But what year was that? 89, 80?
I thought it was earlier, but
2015.
Like you got to understand, seeing a hoverboard in 89 like was just mind blowing.
Okay, what was your take me back to 1985 when you both watched?
I was around 45.
I was.
No, but how did you feel when you watched it for the? Because when I interviewed, honestly, why I watched it, I told you guys, Vlad on Robin Hood, he was like, "It's his favorite movie," and then I was like, oh, "I should probably watch it." What did you feel when you watched it for the first time when you were a kid?
First, I gotta go back and remember.
And also the chat. What did you feel when the chat watched it for the first time?
I was like, "Is it wrong to love your mother?"
Yo, there was definitely incest.
Which when he came on to him, you're like,
dude, incest and some sexual abuse. Some sexual abuse was there in the movie. And
who got abused?
Marty McFly got abused. Remember Biff was trying to get with his mom in the car at prom?
Yeah, I mean,
dude, that was like he basically was saying, I'm
yeah, that's rough handling. I get you.
Yeah,
I mean, you couldn't do that in a movie today. I don't think.
Well, the thing is, it shows how well it was made that with these topics, it doesn't feel like it's that kind of a movie. You know what I mean? It just felt like watching, wow, a piece of the future, the past, like, and being excited seeing all of that. The whole series I'm talking about.
So what did you react when you saw it in the theater for the first time? How did you feel?
Well, I mean, this is a long time.
Because they didn't have YouTube in 1985, right?
Yeah.
It
was called BBS's, Bulletin Board Systems. That was our YouTube, by the way.
What's that? What's bulletin board?
I never used a bulletin board.
You would log on with your modem to these random people's computers, literally with your modem. So you would take up the phone line at home, and your mom would yell at you that you're logging onto someone's computer, and meanwhile you're trying to get pornography. That's around. That's like 256 colors max. Okay. Sometimes it's black and white and literally like all digitized, really bad looking.
It looked like
that was
polarized effect, like low low grainy quality.
Extremely, like 240 by
I've heard.
like
Yeah.
120. I don't even know.
Okay, so how'd you feel when you were in the theater and you watched it the first time?
I mean, it was amazing. It was exciting. Yeah.
No, was it top 10 movie?
Blown away. Oh, at the time, just remember being blown away. Like everybody that year. I remember Halloween that year. Everybody was running around with all the Back to the Future gear. Are you kidding me? That was badass. The vest, you know what I mean? Like everybody.
It was pretty amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a great film even when it came out. It was an instant classic. You know, some movies become instant classics. This I could still watch it today as I did with the kids. It's amazing.
What do you think made it an instant classic?
Story. I mean, well, you can break it down into like the Joseph Campbell arc of the hero, 12-step, whatever. But it is a quintessential hero archetype story. And those stories, it's been told a million times, right? That was just a really good iteration of it with that spin of going back in time.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I liked it. I didn't think I would be entertained. First 10 minutes got my attention, and I was hooked. I was actually not on my phone. I was watching this thing. And
Look at that.
I felt compelled to watch the second one. I was like,
but look, Laura, what's her name? Laura G at 606. I watched them more than one. No, not that one. The one before. About that there was a lot of other 80s movies. That's the thing. Like now we recognize how amazing it is, but back then that was a good movie for the time. A lot of great movies came out in the 80s. This was like par for the course in terms of like great 80s movies. Like you just had a year, for the whole year, you had steady release of great movies. You know, I mean, we haven't even talked Gremlins. Like that was great storytelling. A great little fantastic story. Things like Karate Kid, like all these things came out in the 80s, man. It's freaking awesome.
Okay, so the third version you think is the best one out of all of them?
No, it's not the best one.
1 and 2 is probably best.
No. Yeah, it's still great though. You know, just you want to be with these characters. If you ask what's the good thing about it, it's the characters. Like Michael J. Fox was the perfect actor for that movie. In fact, there's a whole story with them picking a different actor. I forgot his name, but Zemeckis was shooting with this other actor, and literally after a month, he fired him. And he said, "I've always wanted Michael J. Fox for it," because they made a move forward. Because Michael J. Fox at that time was on Family Ties. You probably never heard of Family Ties.
I have. I've heard of that. Yeah,
but he was on that, and he was busy. Like literally, the guy was nonstop working, like all the time. He got to go on this movie only because he made some sort of a deal. Like Zemeckis made a deal with the studio that, hey, you will have Michael J. Fox there every morning on your set. I will bring him personally. I will get them to your set. So they worked out some deal. Michael J. Fox did the movie, but only after another actor was doing it for a whole month and he got fired. Also a famous actor. I forgot his name though.
Wouldn't it be great to see the lost footage of that?
They have some of that on the internet, and it was terrible with the other guy.
Yeah, I feel like I did see some.
Absolutely horrific. So picking the right cast and the right characters, and Doc Brown, you know, forgot played by Lloyd something. Amazing actors and characters.
Teen Wolf. I forgot all about Teen Wolf, and that was
Teen Wolf 2 was there. Yeah.
Teen Wolf. That was just a whole other fantastic little series.
So is Back to the Future a top 20 movie of all time or no?
For me, yes.
Really?
I'd have to actually make the list, but it's not. It wouldn't make it there because it's not a great movie. It would make it there just because there's other incredible films. You know, and depends on how you're ranking it. But
well, anything you can watch again and again, I think should be in your top 20, top 30. Because I could watch that movie today. It'll be amazing.
There's more than 20. If you really sat down and wrote the list, you'd get to 20.
Big Lebowski's number one. I'll just put it.
If I could come up with 20, I'd be happy.
You have to watch 20 first.
Yeah, he's never seen 20 movies.
Wait, how did you guys feel with the 4-year delay from Back to the Future 1 to Back to the Future 2? Was that annoying?
Painful. Yeah, very painful back in the day. We had to wait for things.
And then you become a Tool fan and you wait 7 years or 10 years for an album and you're like, all right.
No, but back then we did have to wait years. It wasn't like next year. Even that's a long time. Like Lord of the Rings was the following year, whatever. But these were like years and years apart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because content, you're like your favorite YouTuber usually uploads every day or every couple times a week. And then your Netflix show, you get the full season at once. So we are very impatient when it comes to content now.
Well, back then they had comic books. Like I remember getting a lot of comic books. I didn't go heavy on Back to the Future, but I remember seeing some sort of like comic books or graphic novels. But I did that with Transformers. As you wanted that, they had Transformer or G.I. Joes.
Dawson's Creek don't count. True.
I did watch Fight Club. I didn't. I thought it was mid. I really did. Did not think it was good.
Top dog, baby.
I think Back to the Future is better than Fight Club. What would you say? Which one's better, Fight Club or Back to the Future?
They're both great, different for different reasons.
If you had gun to your head, you have to watch one movie. Which one would you pick? Come on.
Do I have to watch it with my family or alone?
Yourself. It's Back to the Future. You guys are not gonna watch.
It's probably Back to the Future. You know why? Because it's a light, happy watch. You have to pay a lot of attention when you're watching Fight Club. It's not very light. Airy.
I didn't like it. Yeah.
Very heavy.
Yeah.
Okay.
You should watch The Big Lebowski, though. I think it's really up your alley. A lot of philosophy in it too.
The Big Lebowski.
The Big Lebowski. With Jeff Bridges. Yeah.
The Big Lebowski. 1998.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll like it.
All right.
I think Goonies. That's a good one.
You have
that one. Coming to America is a great one. Yep. These are good movies. Okay. Snowflake is not a movie. I don't think he's gonna be watching that. Palantir, the story of Carp.
I love Palantir so much. I haven't even watched Lord of the Rings, dude. It's so bad. Like
you have to see, because when you name your company that, I think you'll understand why some people are like, really, of all the words in the English language.
Yeah, really? No, I know the meaning behind the word now. The whole seeing guy, I get that. But...
Okay, you don't know how to pronounce words. That's what I'm curious about. Every time I see word of the day.
Hold on. Do you guys?
I'm always cringing. I'm cringing that you don't know English.
Do you say plethora or plethora?
It's plethora, man. It's plethora.
It's not
plethora.
No, you guys are
today. What was your other word today? You said
liberty and say plethora.
I said fatuous, but
fatuous.
I said fatuous, but it's factuous. I have the C and the H. It's not plethora.
What college did you go to?
I went to Rutgers, but you guys are wrong. It's plethora. It sounds like plethora. It looks like plethora. It's a fucking plethora. It's not
like plethora. Plethora.
And say it that way, but that's not how people say. It's like, okay, that guy from NSYNC. Do you call him Joey Fatone, or do you say, hey, Joey Fat One?
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but all I know is it's
How about tomato or tomato? Tomato or tomato?
Look, I was getting a bunch of UK people saying Brits pronounce it like me.
Yeah, Brits, exactly. Plethora. So you're saying everyone in the EU is saying it wrong?
No, everyone in the EU is correct. America's wrong.
Plethora does sound like a body part. It does.
That's what I said.
Yeah, what does it sound? It sounds like a placenta, kind of.
No,
it sounds like
said it. You missed what I said, but that's all right.
What'd you say?
Clitora.
It's right around the corner from the plethora.
Yeah, that's how you remember.
Just make a right.
Oh my god, this is great. Okay, let's get to this thing. This dude shaked up the world last Friday. Robotaxi, August 8th. So the first question is, do you believe him, or did he say it to combat the Reuters hit piece that kind of wasn't as wrong as everyone thought it was wrong? What do you think is happening right now? We'll start with Carlos.
The question is whether I get my $100 in Bitcoin.
Uh-oh.
Do I get it in cash? I don't know. What do you guys
He's collecting a little too soon. But...
So explain to people the bet, for those that don't know. What's the bet?
It started out with battalionized, we'll just say, disagreement on the timeline for FSD to be ready and subsequent robotaxis. And I've been saying, I think since last year now, I've been saying that I think this was the year. And
I think we made the bet December or something like that.
Till the end of this year. Yeah, till the end. No, it was earlier. Yeah, but till the end of this year, it would be. I said 2024. We will see the first Robotaxi fair in 2024.
Fair. So someone has to exchange some money for a Robotaxi.
Yeah.
And I still don't think that's happening. But Carlos, I have another video I did, and better this time. I rigged the camera in the car.
It's way better when you rig it. Yeah.
So I rigged it, and I mean, besides some things that I don't personally like about the driving, but that's like not liking somebody else driving, basically.
Right.
It's amazing. I mean, like, the drive is sort of crazy. I went to Home Depot. For the most part, it's doing everything just spot on. And even on the crazy roads that I was initially nervous on a week ago, it's handling them fine. I'm giving it more of a chance as opposed
to
as
a driver. So you as a driver now, right? Are you more comfortable with it now? Do you feel...
I feel much more because you have to get to know the system. Right. You know what I mean? You have to know what it does. Now I know a little bit more what it does. So I'll release that video probably next week because I'm working this week, but it's really good. And it shows the driving. We talk more about that. Some of the things I don't like, I'll mention a couple of them. It breaks. I don't know why it breaks and it doesn't use regen as much. So that's weird. So
I've heard people say that as well, that it actually uses the brakes over the regen.
Yeah, but like, it's a car's far away and it knows it has to slow down. Why isn't it using regen to slow down? And it's actually using my brakes, which part of the benefit, as you know, owning an EV, to anyone who doesn't know, is that I don't have to worry about my brakes anymore. I don't have to change them because I'm not really using them. But if full self-driving is using my brakes, at least now, who knows if it'll be different a year from now, but I don't want it to be using my brakes, especially for simple situations which aren't dangerous, right? So
I mean, those are all things that you'd imagine would be a software update. And that would actually be a good question to ask. Clarifying us on why it's using the brake. I'm sure there's a reason for it. And you can speculate as to what it is, but you know that the car would be capable of doing that. And a lot of the complaints that I've been seeing are more about the behavior, the personality of the driver. Not aggressive enough. And people are saying, look, if there's millions of these people or thousands of these people getting the software for the first time, you want to err on the side of caution. You'd rather have people feel like it's overly cautious than too reckless, right? At this point in its adoption. So it makes sense that it's particularly cautious.
I'll give you one reason why full self-driving. Yeah, he's announcing things, and we can discuss why. But I'll tell you one reason why 8.8 it won't actually be out. Today I was in the parking lot because it drives out of parking lots. Great, it actually gets out. It knows it does the right thing. It doesn't know how to reverse. So I hit the full self-driving. I'm in the parking. It's not doing anything because there's a car in front. So it's not going to do. It doesn't reverse out of the park. It knows it's in a parking lot because it got me out as soon as I left, and then hit full self-driving again. So that's something like I think you need reverse. Like, let's say you get into a situation where you do have to do a K-turn or something to get out of a actual Robotaxi thing where there's no person. I would obviously not always do a UE. I would have to figure out a way to reverse. So I think that's not here yet, even though Elon said it's coming.
Well, I saw people complaining about that, and then I saw some videos after that. Apparently that's fixed.
I tried it today, unless somebody can tell me how to do it.
Well, I've seen people that have been able to use reverse to get into the cars. So, but again, now we're talking about the 1%.
It's the minutia.
You know what I mean? Yeah. We're not talking about the 99%, because if it is a Robotaxi, the thing's never going to park. It's going to pull you up to the front of the store and let you out.
So, Amit, I just want to point out, because I've been driving. I know, Carlos, do you have this software yet or no?
It still hasn't come in. I don't understand why.
So
it's a year newer.
I think you should contact them because everybody's supposed to have it now.
I am. I'm going to have to reach out.
So, Amit, this is really for you. It's hard for me to explain because now that I've driven, I've used Elon software, and people who haven't, it's hard to explain how good it is. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yes, there's a lot of edge cases still that I see, like, oh, Robotaxis might not be here at 8. But now I think my timelines have moved up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was thinking, all right, maybe 2030, that seems reasonable. Robotaxis or full self-driving is going to be ready. No, I mean, it's getting really, really good. Like, even the things where I was nervous, where it was going to hit the edges of like rocks, which were on the ground, it's not doing that. It's actually avoiding them. So it almost hit a curb in one of my videos. Did you see the video I put up?
That one was scary. The one
I turned it on and it almost immediately crashed. Yeah. Right. So like, it's weird because I did the same thing today and recorded it and went slower this time, and it did it totally fine. So I don't know if it was a speed thing. Maybe I was going too fast initially before I put it in.
Right.
But I'm saying these are all little tiny edges that will get themselves worked out. So using the software, I was like, oh my God, the fucking car is like literally driving itself from point A to point B.
Would you pay thousands of dollars for it once you felt it?
So once again, I don't need that, where autopilot for me is good enough where I'm on the highway a lot of the time to get to work. So if autopilot is good enough for me, why would I pay $200 extra or $12,000? I just don't see the use case for me, because I'm on a highway 98% of the time, which autopilot does for me. Right. So, but if full self-driving gets to the point where I don't have to pay attention to the car, because right now you really have to pay attention, by the way. It's like, if you turn your head for like 3 seconds, by the way, Carl, it kicks you out.
Yeah. The car.
It's like, you're not paying attention. It was 3 seconds. You're not paying attention. Autopilot at least gives you 30 seconds.
It's like your girl when you're not paying attention.
No, I get that if I'm looking, if it knows that you're not looking straight ahead, or if you're
but it warns you 30 seconds later in autopilot. I'm not sure in Model X, Model Y, it's like 30 seconds.
Sometimes it'll go. Sometimes I feel like I'm getting nagged all the time, and then other times it seems like forever. You're just going and going and going, and you're not getting nagged anymore. So there's something there's something. It's speed, weather, visibility. Something is generating how often you get nagged.
Okay, now here's the big question here, because we got to get into this. So Reuters publishes an article on Friday, tanks the stock 7%, saying they're scrapping the M2, the $25,000 Honda Civic competitor. Elon says they're lying. Stock recovers. And then 2 hours later, Elon says, hey, we're unveiling the new Robotaxi on August 8th. Now, in the article, what was really interesting is Reuters said Elon's scrapping the M2 to go all in, quote unquote, on the Robotaxi. And it is oddly peculiar that Elon's unveiling a Robotaxi. None of us have heard of it before, hours after the article comes out. So my question here is, was Reuters actually lying? Or do you think they got it right and Elon's, said they were lying? You could accuse them of lying for millions of things. But do you actually think they're scrapping the M2 for the Robotaxi? Or is the M2 basically the Robotaxi, but instead of a Honda Civic competitor, which is what Wall Street got excited about, they're just going full blast FSD Robotaxi?
I don't think the article was accurate. I don't think they're scrapping the $25,000 car. I think Reuters is not understanding that they're the same vehicle. It's the same platform. The idea would be that the Robotaxi would not have pedals and or steering wheel, and that the consumer version would. This is one of the benefits of the steer-by-wire. It becomes very easy to be able to attach a steering wheel to a Robotaxi, right? And some pedals, and now you can drive the car. So I think it prompted Elon to announce it earlier, but there's a bunch of things that I was seeing, like reports that it's made up. It's going to be some bullshit event. And look, Tesla's had some good events and some bad events, right? Like the Cybertruck launch was a lackluster event. As much as there was cool stuff there, it seemed sort of thrown together and sort of last minute. While on the other hand, you've had like the Model S Plaid, or some of the reveals were good. So, but I don't think that this is going to be an example of that. Like, I just think that they moved up the timeline to announce it, but that they're not inventing this thing out of nowhere. That's my belief. So I think they prompted him to announce it earlier, but they're not going to be inventing this thing up.
I'll take the opposite end of this. I think.
You think they just said, "Oh, screw it, let's make
no." It was probably more like this, where Elon and everybody, the team, or mostly Elon, said, "Hey, this is doing really well. Maybe we should divert more resources to this and slow down the other thing." And that could absolutely be true, because Elon said on 8/8 we're doing Robotaxi event. He didn't say we're doing Model 2 event. So basically, I think Reuters got it mostly right. Elon's like, "Well, I don't like that. I don't like them fucking outing me." And he's like, "You know what? We're going to do an event, and it's going to be an 8/8." And the team is like, "What?"
I actually think there's a good chance that happened, dude. I really
100% it happened. Elon was on the shit or got pissed, and he's like, "Okay, guys, we're doing an event on 8/8." And
no, I think he got pissed and decided to just say, "Fuck it, announce it now."
Dude, I think there's a good chance he came up with it that day, and that's what Elon is. That's what he does. Fuck it, right?
We will see. We will see, but
but we'll never know.
Right, we'll never know. I don't never believe that. And honestly, I don't think it makes sense. I feel it doesn't make sense for them to make this event about anything but Robotaxi and the network itself. Any hint about the $25,000 vehicle, I think, will create an Osborne effect for the current vehicles that are out that they don't want to mess with. So I think they're going to focus on the
Robotaxi. But hold on, let me give you the Gary Black perspective, because the reason the stock fell 7% is because Wall Street said, "Hey, Tesla's a great brand. Everyone loves Teslas. But the damn thing's too expensive for an average person. So if they built a Model 2, they would sell like hotcakes." That's why the street was upset, because if that's not happening anymore, you have to bet that Tesla's data advantage, it really becomes an AI company at that point, is going to propel the business forward. So do you think Wall Street's right to get upset if the M2 scrapped?
Well, but they've decided that those are the metrics and those are the things and that's the way that Tesla grows. Tesla's never said that that's the way that they.
No, but yes, they have. Yes, they have. Tesla's talked about the M2 vehicle for years now.
They have, but that's not them saying that they're going to do that. They're only going to do that, or that they're going to do it in the exact way that Wall Street plans for it, right? It's not the same.
I don't think there's any plan. I think it's just more products. It's like Apple with a new iPhone. It's just a new product. That's all.
We've watched over the years as the street has to takes time to digest what Tesla says it's going to do, what it's currently doing, and what it's already done. Even just look at things like the bot. The bot's been out for a while, but it's by and large being ignored. There are certain parts of Tesla's business that are by and large ignored by Wall Street, and other parts of the businesses that are focused on. And if that's what they're focusing on, the specific sales of that, then they could be, in my opinion, missing what this means. They're missing that data advantage. They're missing
no. I agree with you. The street's definitely missing the Robotaxi story and the data advantage, 1000%. My question is, are they right to be upset if they were essentially promised a mid-sized car for the average consumer, something like I could afford, that's not necessarily happening anymore?
I think you answered your own question, though. They're missing the entire other big opportunity.
No, but they've missed that for years.
No.
You know, so
they want to, if they want to go and be obsessed. So you're saying after Robotaxi Day, there's this big unveiling, stock's going to drop 12% the next
probably.
Day.
Well, if the Robotaxi doesn't become commercially public, which I don't think it will be till 2025 at the earliest, right?
So the issue is, I think you're right. First of all, Wall Street is correct, meaning because they can project things like, okay, if you sell 2 million Model Ys now, the car's 25,000. We can probably say you're going to sell 4 or 5 million. They can do that. It's hard to say when Elon's software will be ready for the masses for everybody to take. It's hard to say that. That's the problem, and that's always been the problem. How do you value something that you don't know when exactly it's going to come out and how much people are willing to pay? Like all people, not just like the select Tesla fanboys. So I think, yes, I think Wall Street has a right to be upset. I would be upset, first of all, because I want the Model 2 out, the same platform, by the way, for full self-driving, and I want an option, a cheaper option. For example, let's say I want to get it for my kids, right? I want to buy a cheaper car for them. I'd rather buy them a Tesla electric vehicle. I'm already in the ecosystem. I already have everything. So it'd be easier to do that. Imagine I can't buy that $25,000 car. Am I going to buy them a $40,000 car?
But no one's saying you can't. They're just saying that the event on the 8th is specifically around Robotaxi. That's literally all that's been said. And
no, we're still talking about the Reuters article and the people who we're still talking about the fact that there's some truth in it. I'm assuming there's some truth in it.
Here's the hypothetical. Let's say 2024, we only get updates on Robotaxi. We get 0 updates on the M2. Reuters was right then. Like if we go a year without getting updates on the $25,000 car, they were absolutely right.
If we went a year, then you could technically say we're right. But I mean, that's a year from now, and a lot's gonna.
No, I'm saying we haven't got an update since January. Like 2024 started. It's been 4 months. There's no updates on the $25,000 car, other than some comments that we're getting factories.
Some comments on the earnings call that you're going to see it by the end of the year. So,
Carlos is right, by the way. Osborne thing is true.
Let me say this. I feel like we're talking about the same platform. If you go on the Investor Day and you look at their fleet of vehicles, there's one vehicle that's off to the right that's covered in a sheet that says 700 million. So they're going to be expecting to sell these at some point. All this means is that Tesla could roll these cars out as a Robotaxi first, right? Mm-hmm. And then say at some point next year, just hit the button and have those readily available to the public. It's something where it actually could allow them for the first time to scale up and scale into a product line, because they'll have a use case for the vehicles, for the small volumes of vehicles that they're creating. And if you think about it, what are these first 100 Robotaxis or Model 2s that come out? Is it more valuable to Tesla to put them on a Robotaxi network, or is it more valuable for them to sell these to customers? I would argue that the first few of these would make more sense to gather the data and to lay the groundwork for that, right? Then eventually you start selling these. And then you have these people take their personal vehicles and put them on the same network after you've already tested it. And you could see Tesla doing that city by city by city by city. So I think they're the same thing, but I think we've never had a car company talking about making a car and also Robotaxi. So we don't know, we've never had a product launch like this, but I think that people are reading into it too much in the way a traditional vehicle announcement or service announcement would be. And I think Tesla's going to ease a lot of these or answer a lot of these questions on that day, where it's going to seem silly that we were even questioning these things.
By the way, I still think both are coming, because simply the team has said even as much that Elon was trying to push, I think years ago, for just Robotaxis, and the team convinced him by pushing him, saying, hey, we need to have a steering wheel here until everything is obviously solved. So I still think the product line is going to be these 2 models, which is the same model, just one is not going to have a steering wheel and one will have steering wheel.
For sure. But I mean, all these people arguing that they're completely separate vehicles.
No, they're not.
No way you can make
a very similar
Robotaxi the same as this. They're completely different use cases. And it's like, guys, take the steering wheel out. What do you think the big move on the like all of the tech in the Cybertruck, the steer-by-wire, the unboxed manufacturing process,
48 volts,
48 volts. What do you think that was for?
So I find out for the first time that the Robotaxi is not supposed to have a steering wheel. What's the logic behind that?
Then you can make all of. What do you mean?
Like, I didn't know the Robotaxi was being built without a steering wheel.
Yeah, you wouldn't need it. I mean,
how they're making it. Hold on. No, you hold on.
Why would you need it?
No, they're making a line for people to have a steering wheel, and then the same line just will not have a steering wheel, because the steering wheel is steer by wire. It's just literally not connected to anything except a little motor that tells the actual motors what to do.
So it wouldn't automatically.
It doesn't connect directly to the drivetrain.
It's the same way that you control a virtual
like the
car,
Cybertruck,
right? When you say steer by wire, you're saying you're sending it by like mouse commands, right? So you could imagine it would be very easy to outfit a Robotaxi with a steering wheel that controls the wheels remotely, but from inside the car. You know what I'm saying?
It is a hedge.
Yeah, Tavis says, per Isaacson's biography, Elon wanted robo-only, no-wheel M2 with wheels, almost like a hedge to produce first. Interesting.
But it's clearly, I mean, 12.3 or whatever it's clearly like almost there. He said in one of the was it Master Plan?
Why don't you bring Tev on to throw him the link?
Yeah, you can come in.
He said Master Plan Part 2. He said they need about 6 billion miles before they believe that they'll have complete, full regulatory approval. And I think we're at, what is it, 5? No, we're at 1. They're surpassed 1 billion FSD miles.
Yeah, I mean, so how do you think about that, dude? 1 billion
months.
FSD. It took them 4 years, but we see a little uptick in the graph that it's obviously because the free trials are happening right now.
This is what it looks like in your dividend portfolio. This is like the compounding, right? It takes forever to get to that first, let's say, billion. Then from there, the next one comes faster. The one comes faster after that. So if you just extrapolate out how many vehicles they expect to have on FSD, how many miles they're driving, right? We might hit those 6 billion miles. You theoretically could hit that this year.
So just a question to you guys. What do you think? I'm looking right now. I just was curious. How many miles does Waymo have?
2 million to what? 50 million. I think it's like 50 million.
Wait, Waymo? Hold on.
50 million.
Waymo and Cruise are different companies, right?
Yes.
Waymo's by Google and Cruise is by GM, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So what do you think Waymo has?
I think
Waymo has 8 million, I would say.
No.
You're right. It's under 8 million, 7.14 for, well, I mean, maybe it's more now, but yes, you are right. 8 million compared to what?
For both of them?
No,
I'm just talking about Waymo, but compared to what? What did you say for Tesla? Just make it clear.
A billion.
A billion miles.
Yeah.
Well, but here's the thing. You know what it is? How many people don't understand?
They're millionaires. They're millionaires.
No, but here's the thing. They don't, at least yet with full self-driving, people do not understand that the data from the miles collected is the gold. That's what everyone's chasing.
It is gold, yeah.
But when you say, wow, if Google made an LLM, it makes so much sense. You go, oh my God, they have access to so many words. Well, look at Tesla. They have access to so many more miles than everybody else. At a certain point, when you say that the lead on this is unassailable, then the only way around this, here's the thing. If you want to have a network to compete with that, the only way around it is to use tech. Now you're going to have it more like a Waymo.
And none of these companies are tech companies, yeah.
But they could. The thing is, you could outfit the cars with that. But now, how much money are you?
Are you serious? Google? Are you serious? Or
no? I'm talking about GM, Ford. All that's what I'm saying.
I'm saying Waymo. Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, I'm not talking about Waymo.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question here. If Tesla wants to license,
hold on, before you ask your question, I did talk to my brother, who's a very smart guy, but he's not keeping track of all of this Tesla stuff. He owns Tesla stock because I told him to buy it long ago. Whatever, he has that, but he's like, so well, why does this matter? Someone's just going to come in and overnight. He literally said overnight they're going to have, if Elon proves that this is the way it works, full self-driving, where you use these neural networks, end-to-end neural networks. He goes, well, in a day or two or a week or a month, someone's going to come in. I'm like, do you understand? It's not only just computers running simulations and all this. There are people there who've been sitting there for 5 years saying, this is an object, this is a person, this is bad, this is good. Literally,
it's gone though in 12.3.
No, they're still labeling. Labeling is not gone. It's not learning all on its own.
The neural net is doing it, the auto labeler.
No, humans are still part of the labeling. If somebody can correct me,
fix things, but
humans are still labeling this.
So they hire kids in China to do labeling. That's what
basically, yes.
Video and
you got someone please correct me, but maybe Tev knows if he's coming in. But I believe they're still auto labeling. I mean, sorry, they're still labeling the data with humans, not everything auto labeled. The auto labels do come in, of course. Then humans in the loop. When I send a video, right? Like I click on the car, it says, "Hey, send the video. Why did you disengage full self driving?" You're telling me a computer's reading it only? No, I think it's going to actual people.
They have
obviously, but it's being sorted. Hold on, it's being sorted. People must be taking it and actually looking at that video. What happened there?
AI. Well, yeah, the AIs are analyzing it. There's tens of thousands of these coming in every day. There's no way that that's being done by people. It's either being analyzed. The audio is being analyzed to get what it is, and they're figuring out what the edge cases were. And what
the point is, they have a huge.
Well, MJ says the neural nets are doing all the labeling. I still don't know if that's 100%.
It's Elon said it's video in, movement out. That's it. That's what they're trying to get to, right? And one of the reasons why they're confident now is because he said that they are no longer compute constrained. So they have the data, they're just no longer compute constrained. So the updates are going to come much faster now. If you're not compute constrained anymore, and you're trying to build an AI, that is like probably the most powerful statement that you could make, is that we're not compute constrained. So I think they see that the roadmap of this, it's going to get really good really soon, and they're getting ahead of it in the same way that, we talked about this. This could be the FSD ChatGPT moment that we spoke about, and this was a couple months ago.
Okay, so if Elon has the FSD advantage, my question here is, how do they protect the Robotaxi thing from being commoditized? So like, if they're licensing FSD to everybody, why wouldn't Uber take their FSD and then build out their own fleet of Robotaxis?
They could, but Tesla's going to be strategic with how they handle the licensing of it. I actually think that they're already talking to Ford, and I would say that there's a chance they might even announce something like that day one. Think about it. If you're the first company that says we're going to be partnering with Tesla to license, you know how much that's going to boost Ford's sales?
Yeah.
And it becomes a really smart move, because you're basically making it so that Ford can't really talk shit about Tesla anymore. So even your competitors now can't really shit on you because you're vital to their own success. So that is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that they'll license.
You're not scared of Uber with FSD?
No. I actually think I've been saying this forever. This is awful for Uber and Lyft. Their biggest line item is labor. Look at all the issues that they've had just with labor. When the lockdowns happened, if you were an autonomous robotaxi network, none of that would have affected an autonomous robotaxi network. Maybe some of the safety things, right? But even so, look at all of the regulatory issues that they had getting in. You couldn't get to airports. There was all these things trying to keep Uber out. They beat all the regulatory issues. But then after that, you saw attacks. There was either attacks on Uber drivers or attacks by Uber drivers, and they had to make concessions in order to be able to fix that. None of those things exist on a robotaxi network. How do you compete? The other thing too is, if you get into 100 random freaking Uber drivers, like how many?
Okay, of them, I just want to point out, I'm reading.
I want to finish this point. Yeah. If you get into 100 random Ubers, I think ultimately people will start to choose autonomous drives versus a human driver, because you want first of all, the privacy and the safety aspect. Like, I think all things being equal, women would prefer to be in a vehicle where they don't have to worry about a driver. I would be more, if I had like my daughter in the car, I'd rather her be in an autonomous Uber, an autonomous Tesla that I can see the camera from my phone, than have her in a car with some random dude. And I think eventually that's how the narrative is going to go. And a lot of these services that we see as like ubiquitous today will just.
Well, that's why Uber was down. Uber was down today.
I've been saying this. This is not good for Uber and Lyft. It's not good for them. If they want to build out a robotaxi network, they have to get autonomous vehicles. That costs them money that it doesn't cost Tesla. Period.
Okay, go ahead, Vitaly.
I mean, I'm not going to get into the whole Uber thing, but I've looked up electric, and this is what Andre Karpathy said. This is before he left, or 2 years ago. So I don't know if it's really changed, like Carlos is saying. Tesla's head of AI and computer vision revealed that last year that Tesla only has a few dozen engineers working on neural networks, but they have a huge team working on labeling. So if that's changed, that means a lot of people got laid off. I just don't know if that has happened yet. I still think humans are in the loop labeling these videos as they have been for the last 5-6 years.
Okay,
10 years. Who knows?
It's not to the same extent that it was anymore. That was the point of moving it up to this, having it analyze what's happening in the scene. And keep in mind, once you know a stop sign and there's, let's say, a limited inventory of items that you're going to run into, say, on the road, right? And you'll get to that. And they have, there is work that they've done in version 11 and prior that carries over. So I don't think that the labeling is the issue. I'm
actually not taking that as a negative like you are. I'm pointing out that Tesla has been doing something, even if they're doing end-to-end neural net. My point is they're doing something that just can't be copied in a day.
Yeah.
Because it still requires human labor.
It can't be, because even if you build the exact same systems, where do you get the data? How do you get the data from 8 cameras around?
Well, if Ford is smart, all their vehicles should be equipped with cameras running, which they're not. No one is doing it besides the Chinese manufacturer.
You either buy the data, you got to buy the data from Tesla, or you got to license their software.
It's going to be easier to license it, that's for sure.
It's going to be way easier. I mean, but in the same way that we saw with the bot, expect over the next couple of months, you're going to start seeing all these little startups that have been working on Robotaxi. They're going to come out. Some of the legacy companies will start to announce. But I think in the end, it just all goes back. It's like all goes back to Bitcoin. It's all going back. It's all coming back to Tesla. That's just
so the stock has held up, I think, remarkably well over the past couple of weeks. Do you think it's a bull trap going into Q1? Meet Kevin shorted it again today.
He shorted it again.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a 0-day option, so I don't know if he was successful, but I got a picture that he was shorting it.
So PP is a way to short stocks. I don't
No,
understand.
that's his own personal portfolio. He shorts, but in his Discord, he like sends his screenshots when he's shorting.
What are you saying for Q2? I actually think they're going to do okay Q2. Something tells me they're going to hit the 500,000 plus.
But like my question is, why is the stock not at 145 right now? Why is it still being held up?
Well, anyone that's wanted to sell had all the reasons that they needed to sell going into Q1. Then we got the confirmation that things were not going to be great, right? Or at least the guidance for the rest of the year. And again, we're somewhat tied to rates. So unless, at the time, people might have been feeling like we're going to get a cut, say June, whatever it is. If we don't feel like we're getting a cut this year, these stocks are hurt by that.
But my thing is like the stock's still not getting hammered. I mean, it's
it's not at 145 like it should have been because Elon came out and said, "Hey, I'm going to release a Robotaxi." Come on. He's pumping the stock. Let's face it. 1 hour later, like, you know what I'm saying? 1 hour.
That is weird timing, dude. That is weird timing on a Friday. Who announces shit like on a Friday?
I absolutely think that prompted him to say, you know what, fuck this, but that tells me that they're already planning something for 8.8, and that they were expecting it to be a
8.8 in 2025, and now it's 8.8.
Why is it 8.8? Why do you think they picked 8.8? I saw some
Chinese. It's Chinese good numbers or something.
It's Chinese good, and that. Again, it's amazing how much speculations come out from just this one thing. They're saying that this might also be the place where they announce that they're going to release full self-driving in China because of the significance that the 888.
Interesting.
I mean, look,
bullish,
the points. Me and Carlos could argue all day if it's 8.8 or next year. Doesn't matter. I saw the future. I'm driving the future. This thing is coming out and it's going to work at some point. Once again, I'm not a believer it's this year. I think at some point it really does work within the next couple of years, 3-4 years, whatever. And you have to understand, if in 3-4 years Tesla literally has full self-driving the way we think it should, I mean, what is the stock worth? Like, even if I buy it at 170 or 150, like, what is it worth?
Was it ticker symbol
once they win, what is it worth?
Was it ticker symbol U? I don't know. Somebody was saying today that the opportunity here could be so great that at some point Tesla stops reporting production and delivery numbers and just announces revenue because it's going to be so overshadowed by how much money they're printing on this network that it becomes just a ridiculous, like, who cares exactly how much did you make? Uber about margins.
Uber does, I think, 10 billion in revenue a quarter. 99% of it is from people taking drives, but their margins are not Tesla margins. So
nope.
I mean, if Tesla were to replace, or if Tesla even gets like 1/5 of that, I mean, that's big business.
Uber, when I think that eventually Tesla will displace these companies, but it won't happen right away. Well, when I say Robotaxi network, it's going to be 100 cars. They're going to take 100 cars. They're going to put them in San Francisco. Or they'll put 100 cars in Texas. Or they'll put 100 cars in Florida. Like, whatever states are very lenient with them, or with respect to the regulatory, they're going to put them in. They're going to seed it, and that's how it's going to go, little by little by little. So there's plenty of time. As it's not going to destroy them right away.
Put a link in. Let's see if anybody does want to join. If Travis is not, if you have a question or if you want to just chat.
What's the black swan?
We haven't done that in a while.
Yeah, if anyone wants to join, well, we stopped doing it because people are too pussy to fucking join. I'm sorry for my French, but like, even no one wants to join. Everyone's scared.
People out.
Everyone's scared.
I mean, how's that possible? I'm looking at this 463 people. There's not one.
No, but I get it, dude. Not everyone wants to be on camera. It's tough. It's not easy to.
Not one person who wants to, man the fuck up.
Okay. So overall, bullish Tesla, Robotaxi, even though he's pumping, super bullish. And
and I just want to throw some stuff out there for the record to like look back. I think that eventually what you'll see, if this is successful in the way it is with Tesla, with a bunch of other players, like the idea of public transportation, I think goes away.
We're all jerking off right now.
He's like, is this chat your bait or whatever?
Dude, you know how honored I feel to know that I'm doing that for people. Like,
dude, what would you do if just the camera comes on and it's just a schlong?
Well, if someone wants to know, end phase.
And Mike's ox.
Or do we keep talking Tesla?
Okay, finish your last point, Carlos, then we'll talk end phase.
I forgot my point.
Okay, Vitaly, why are you buying end phase? You had some weird technical thesis that it's in a wedge. What's going on?
Well, I mean,
pull it up. Hold
on. We got to delay the discussion.
Pull up the wedge.
Someone popped in. Man the fuck up.
It's him up.
Douglas, what's up, man?
Oh shit.
What's up, Douglas?
Hey guys.
How's it going?
Hello. Hey, have you been on before the show? Before?
Nope. I know I've tried to get on a couple times.
Okay.
I feel like wasn't he on
Tried. I mean, nobody joins us. How hard is it to join the show?
I've been in the waiting room.
No, he was in our
before.
Patreon, right? Wasn't that you, Doug? Weren't you on the Patreon thing we did, the Meta versus Apple debate?
Yes.
Okay, so you were. That was
you were. That's where I remember you from.
Yeah. No, you slimmed down a little bit. You've been working out. You lift, Douglas.
Yep.
Oh, was he on our pad?
Yeah, he was.
Our pad?
He was at the Meta versus
Oh,
Facebook debate.
nice. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. What's
up? All right, Doug. What's up? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Just wanted to encourage you guys. You have a great show. I'm really sorry you're down to 2 nights a week. It was almost appointment television for me every night.
Yeah.
So really appreciate everything you guys are doing there. One of the things I wanted to talk about was what are the other things you guys are looking at outside of Enphase, Tesla, Palantir? So you guys are almost like a 5-stock channel now, right? So are there any ideas outside of BPYPM?
How many stocks do you need to succeed? Think about it, Douglas.
That's a good point.
The problem with other content creators, I just want to point out, who aren't us, since me and Carlos don't treat it like a job every single day, and Amit does, of course, but that I only have a few big bets. It's 4 bets, and I've said it, I think, for years on our freelancer finance channel. It was Enphase, Tesla, Bitcoin, Ethereum. They're still my biggest bets. That hasn't changed in the last, I don't know, 5 years, 4 years.
Well, how did you get comfortable going from when we had $30,000 to invest, and now like the first time you hit 7 figures, right? Or the first time you hit $500,000, and you're like, wow, I'm really starting to handle a lot more than I used to. So you're right, you have those 4 big bets, but
how do you think I hit those numbers?
You're more not more concentrated than you were, right? But you have a substantially more to lose if something goes wrong.
He just bought more Enphase calls, dude. That's what he did.
Well, I did diversify out. You're absolutely right. Like 4 or 5 years ago, I had no Amazon. You're right about that. Now I have a lot of Amazon. So meaning in Meta, I didn't have a lot of Meta, actually. I had very little. I sold it long time ago, and I went super heavy as it was tanking. So yes, I did diversify out into other investments. Yeah, it's true, but still the 4 biggest are the same 4 biggest.
Yeah, I think if you get to the point, Doug, it sounds to me like you might be sitting on like a lot of gains or have like a position that's, I mean, that pressure in and of itself is the same as being in the red. There's no issue taking some profit at a certain point and letting it sit there. If you're talking about having so much money concentrated in bets, especially since I would imagine you follow these companies and you see that there's ebbs and flows, right? There's ups and downs, and you read the market and adjust your position accordingly. Is that what the issue is in terms of like just gains?
Yeah, I have a pretty substantial win right now. Some Robinhood options.
Let's fucking go, dude. Let's go.
Well, maybe I want to talk about that.
Fuck Tesla, fuck SoFi, fuck Apple. Wait, okay, so now I'm curious.
This degenerate gambler got your...
Okay, hold on. No, walk me through this. When did you buy these? What strikes? Tell me about this.
$20 strikes, and I got them in like October, November last year.
Okay, so why'd you buy them during that time?
He saw your channel.
Arnie kind of put me on taking a look at them.
Yeah, Arnie did
taking a look at Robinhood. I was very anti Robinhood, and then he kind of put me on. Just said, "Hey, here's a case for it." So I was like, "Oh, this looks like something that's worth checking out."
Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how heavy did you go into these calls based on your portfolio?
And so this is kind of the question for the guys who are a little more experienced investors. I did not go all in, right? I felt like I put in a measured amount. Like I have near 7 figures, so I put in like 20 grand of options, right? If it goes to 0, I don't really care, right?
Mere 7 figures is $1 million. You know that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So you put in 20 grand.
How much options, though?
So you're saying you put very little. Very little.
First of all, which option did you buy? What's the option?
$20 strike. So he's up basically
$20 what? $20 leaps.
$20 January 25 leaps.
Okay. All right. So coming up.
Okay. So you are up 500% basically.
I'm up 1,000%.
Nice.
Oh, you're
20,000 to like 800-900 grand.
No, it's 20,000.
So what is your question? You're doing fine.
So yeah, I'm doing.
I would sell half, dude. Take the half, and let the other half.
So I've already done that.
No financial advice.
I've already taken, sold out my cost when it went up the first 100%. Sell out your costs. So now this is all house money.
Mm-hmm.
But I am feeling the pressure that Carlos talked about. That financial, that pressure of being so green that you feel like you're gonna lose it all.
Mm-hmm.
But like, as Mitt is well aware, we haven't even hit.
Yeah, I mean,
the game numbers come out yet on Robinhood. It's gonna be sick.
That's me with crypto, with Bitcoin, seeing it up so much, and it's hard. The difference is crypto just has a different maturity scale than what you're doing. Like, you're talking about options, bro. So you're
at a timer.
This is why I'm saying
2025 or 2026.
2025. He's got January 2025 options. He bought them last October, November. So you got leaps out till January 2025. That changes the conversation, because like, where you're sitting at now is an amplified version of where you're sitting because of the option. And every day that goes by, the theta works against you and for the person that sold you the option. So then you need even more performance out of the position itself, the price itself, to overcome that. If you're sitting on that much money from a relatively small investment, be very, very careful with that.
Yeah. So
if you did sell half, like Amit pointed out, how are you not winning even if that part goes up? That's my question.
I've already won.
He's saying
he sold out my cost.
No, you already sold half.
Yeah, sold.
I already sold my cost. When it went up 100%, I sold half.
Yeah, but wait.
No, that's your cost. I'm saying if you are up 10x and you've made
1,000x.
Yeah, 10x is 1,000.
It's 1,000%. 10x is 1,000%. Anyway, so if you're up that much right now, you're saying, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And you got rid of half and you let the other half ride, and that fell apart, right? Wouldn't you feel a little bit better that you took some of those gains? Or the other question is, you just let it ride, and would you feel worse if it just kept going up?
Or you just keep taking half? I mean, you just basically keep having.
Oh no, but my question is, let me. Are you the kind of investor who it's okay if it tanks now because you got your cost basis out? That's cool. It tanks, I lost it all. Or you're the kind of investor you would hate yourself more if it started to run up.
So this is where, like, I've had so many wins now in the last 2 years. My portfolio has gone from, roughly $500,000 in my 401k to now it's 7 figures, right? So it's like learning to deal with a whole different amount of money. And I don't know to be honest, I don't know how I deal with that additional risk.
Well, the way
hold on, can I
because it happened in kind of a short period of time. I feel like I never got used to it. I haven't adjusted.
So just to make it clear, you bought, say, 20 grand worth of options.
Yeah, hold on. Let me break down the math. Can I break the math? So you bought 20K. You 10x that. So that's 200K. Let's just put raw numbers on it. You took out the 20K. So you have 180K left in just pure profits, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, in my humble opinion, I think Robinhood's going to $25 or $30 by the end of the year. And I've done a lot of due diligence on that. So that 180K could probably turn into like 350K. Right. It could keep going. However, I agree with Vitaly that because you have a 10x, if you take half of that, so the 90K, and you pocket it, you fully won. So you take the 5x out of the 10x, and then you let the other half ride, which I do think we both know now they've been in Hood. Q2 numbers are going to be fucking insane. It's not crazy. The part I think you're struggling with here, which is the reason I was in the same position, I had 277 call options, basically like 10 grand, 14 grand in my Roth IRA, right? And I sold most of them for like a 50% gain. If I had left those, that 14 grand would be worth 100 grand right now. So I felt the same thing when Nvidia had their earnings, right before they had their earnings and the whole market was tanking. I was like, fuck, I should just take this 50% gain right now. You are in a much better position than me because you didn't sell during that time. And we had the gold event. And so you saw all the shit that's ready to come. So I honestly think that this thing can go crazier, but on the off chance it doesn't, on the off chance Bitcoin sells off dramatically after the halving event and Robinhood's still tied to crypto and then Robinhood gets back to $13, you wouldn't kill yourself if you had, you took half off the table right now. So
right.
That would be
yeah, you've made a massive win. You're already over 7 figures, as you said. Like, if you take some money off the table, I don't see how you lose. I just don't see it. So I did the same thing with Tesla. If you've been watching the podcast, I had like 35-40% in Tesla. And I was like, I don't know what's going to happen with Tesla going forward. And yes, we all think Robin is going up, maybe different, but I was like, I'm not sure. So at 250, I was like, I started selling Tesla. And did I sell all my Tesla? No, I'm not an idiot. I want to keep a good portion for the future, the 5-10 year outline as we keep talking about. But if it went up right after that, and it did for a little bit, by the way, I was fine with it. I accepted that I will not get every dollar out of Tesla. I accepted that. You have to accept that you will not get every dollar out of Robinhood. If you're okay with that, that's when you start selling off. But that's what I asked, what kind of investor. If you're going to kill yourself, if you lost every dollar, I just don't care anymore about making every single dollar and every single investment, because I want to live my life too. I don't want to worry about Robinhood going to $13 or Tesla going to 100.
But
I don't want to worry about those things. I want
hold on, real quick, Douglas. Did you
wait? But
did you hold on? Did you watch the Vlad interview that I did?
Of course I did.
Okay, so when after you
watch you even more.
Here's the one thing I've been thinking about. Why would Vlad talk to a retail investor about his company? It's not like he can't get distribution from CNBC and Blue. I think personally,
because retail investors are his core.
No, it's not. It's not. 91% is institutional holding. Retail barely makes up the stock. SoFi,
not its ownership, but his customer base are retail.
Sure. But my point is, I think if you're a public CEO, you don't do an interview with a retail dude unless you're really fucking bullish. Because the ramifications of doing that interview and then the stock goes to shit, I'm not saying that's a guarantee. I'm just saying I think the sentiment and the tailwinds behind the company are massive, which is why he even agreed to do the interview. There's a reason Noto's not talking to SoFi Weekly right now, right? Like the stock.
So your advice is hold the line, hodl.
Dude, my thing is I think the numbers are going to be crazy, but you have options. So there's nothing wrong with taking half off the table.
So it's going to zero, or if we don't get above 20.
Well, that's the problem. If you had stock, I would be
exactly.
like, okay, you're a believer. You're a believer. You believe this is going to the moon. But what happens if Bitcoin does dump, which is very possible, by the way, after the halving, and we have a summer lull, which Bitcoin does every single time. Basically every summer.
HUD's going to 12. If Bitcoin goes to 40K, HUD's going to 12.
But I got to get this point out there that it's very different if you have 20,000 or 180,000 in shares, because there's no cost to you to do nothing. Whereas if you've got these options every day, you're losing value, and you are going to be forced to make a decision between now and January 2025. So that's really what the risk is, right? Mm-hmm. That has to be weighed into it, because there is a cost of doing nothing right now.
Chris, what do you think he should do? He's up 180 grand on Robinhood options, 10x. You think he should take profits?
What does Yoda have to say?
I agree with the guys. Well, when it comes to options, always take the win way before everyone else just starts. I know the incentive could be, hey, you know what, I'll just hold it and see what happens. Now there is a way to be tax efficient about it if you really want to be. Like you could sell
an IRA already.
Yeah. The way that I if it's an IRA, then I just, for me, if you were asking me as Chris Patel, what do I do? The reason why you made money on this is because it was undervalued, right? At today's prices, it's probably closer to fair value. So how are you going to play this especially with time decaying away your gains, right? Right now, as Robinhood stays closer range bound around $18, $20, you've got less than 9 months to go, right? Which means that now you're starting to see decay. So instead, find other undervalued opportunities that are generating income, because right now that is where the play really is. Right now, there's a tremendous opportunity in certain income producing safe assets that are out there that are going to yield you great returns. And now you can use the gains that you keep getting from those via dividend payments and even capital appreciation to basically invest the next leg into the future, right? So as an example, imagine right now, this money that you have in your retirement account, you can put a significant amount away and then put it into something that's a fire and forget thing, like a company that that's going to be around in the next 5, 10, 20 years, right? Secure your future.
Well, I am buying a business with part of this.
Good.
So that's going to be an adventure.
Yeah.
Douglas, let me ask you this. How bullish are you, like you speaking, given your due diligence on Robinhood for the next 6 months? What is your bull thesis for holding your options?
If the stock does what I think it's going to do,
which is what? What do you think it's going to do?
It'll cap out around 28.
Why?
It won't get to 35, but it'll be ahead of 25 because people will go piling in. They'll go piling in. It has kind of this golden cross coming for it, where you have the crypto story, the gold story, the credit card story, and then they're gonna just slaughter earnings.
Okay, here's my actual advice.
So they're gonna, and from the way I look at it, they are immune from issues with rates.
Okay, here's an actual good thought.
That's going to attract more gold customers.
Kind of. Here's my thought experiment. How much revenue did Robinhood do in Q4 net interest income? What's the number?
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Okay, so that's my thing.
I mean,
if you don't, no. So forget pulling it up. Forget pulling it up. If you're sitting on $180,000 in profits and you don't know that number, you should really think about selling. And I'm dead fucking serious when I say that, because if you can't answer that question, like if you're sitting on a 10x, you have to know every fucking detail inside and out if decay is eating at your gains. I personally believe that. That's my philosophy. So if I have options on something that are that, I mean, that you could take it or leave it, but I
don't think it's our objective to make him sell anything. By the way,
no, I know, it's not. It's
so he has to come.
There's one last.
It's good, but let me finish
There's one last.
Ray's already suing you, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Okay, let me finish this point. My thing is, if you're sitting up that much money and you don't know every intricate detail, it's a question of, hey, maybe I got this because I was smart enough to invest in it, but I don't know enough about the company to legitimately hold it. Or it's a question of, well, I need to know just a little for it to keep going up, and it'll keep going up. Because for me, with my Robinhood gains, I know every last detail about that company because I know that theta is eating at me, right? Which is eating at you too. And I know the odds and probabilities of this thing actually getting to that $25, $30 range, which would keep us in the money or have all of our gains go to zero. So it's just one thing to think about. Like if you really care enough about the company enough to hold it, or just take the 10x because it's a 10x.
The one quote that I like from Dave Ramsey is he spoke to someone like you that was sitting on tremendous amount of gains. Say it was $500,000, and he says every day that you wake up, it's like you are reinvesting that $500,000. So it's like every day that you wake up, you're buying $180,000 of call options expiring in January, and you just put $180,000 down, and you're looking for, it's now a short term.
That's a good question. Would you do that now? Hold on. Would you do that right now?
Right. Would you do that? Would you put $180,000 down on January 2025 options? Because that's what you're doing by not selling. I'm just putting it out there as a way to look at it.
I would not.
Right. And the other comment right here, and I'll let Chris go. You need to know the details to maintain that. Yeah, you need the details to maintain the conviction, dude. If you don't I'm sure Chris knows a lot more about Verizon. Chris knew about their fucking interest maturity on the debt from 10 years ago. That's how much he knows to keep his gains and not sell right now. So I think it's one thing to consider. Go ahead, Chris.
I'd say also consider if you really want to be let's say, you are bullish. You think that the possibility that they get to $30, consider selling a little bit of it and buying some puts. There's nothing wrong with buying insurance. It's like driving around a Ferrari. If you know that you're driving around a Ferrari, which is all your gains right now, it's not a bad idea to sell a little bit and then use that money to buy some puts. If the puts expire worthless, who gives a crap? Really, who gives a crap? But if it doesn't, and you end up getting a 10x or a 20x, because Robinhood somehow magically goes to $35, whatever, you lost a few points on the insurance, right? So I'd sell a very small portion.
In this case, you're right. In this case, you're right, because he already has a leveraged bet.
Yeah.
So another leveraged bet won't make a difference because you don't own the shares, dude. They're not yours.
That's the thing.
So you better hurry up and.
I did sell some to buy shares. So I've been slowly taking small nibbles of selling. When we had big days, big run-ups, those would be days to sell a couple options and convert to stock. But I'm still sitting.
So you're sitting on naked. You're sitting on naked calls, right? So you don't have anything against them, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's the other. There's the Matt Money option that you could do, which, by the way, I do not recommend. I'm just saying Matt did this, and it's been working for him on certain things. Sell way out of the money calls, but short term in nature. So 30 days out, sell the $30 call for Robinhood, right? As it decays, because remember, the closer date options decay much faster than the ones that are further out. The money that you get from the premiums, use that to buy insurance, which is the puts. That's what I'm saying. So let's say Robinhood does have a freaking run up and goes to $30 in the next 30 days. Whatever. At that point, it's hey, I gain even more money. So you're good, right? Your puts will expire worthless, and the shares, I mean, the calls that you have, you're going to have to roll further out because that's what you have to do just to maintain. But for the most part, you'll be in a good place. So Matt has been doing this with, I think he tried to do this with Celsius and he might have gotten burned by it, but then it kind of worked out in his favor. Where what he did was
he back down from 95.
Remember, this is financial advice from Matt Money.
Yeah.
Okay, not from us.
So trust me, Matt Money's got a bigger portfolio than all four of us combined. So I wouldn't.
That's fine. I'm saying go sue him if something happens.
Right,
That's all I'm saying.
So Matt, what he did was, Matt, what he did was he bought call options just like us with Celsius at 65. I think he bought them at like the $50 or $65 call options. I don't know. You have to ask him. But what he's been doing in the short term is he's been selling short-term calls against those calls throughout. Now, the trade went against him a little bit because Celsius shot way past this price target. So you have to be very careful with that. But when it comes down to it, you can just roll those contracts forward again. I mean, yeah, you wouldn't be gaining a lot of money from that, but at least you wouldn't lose your original thing. So it's almost like you're producing income. Personally, I'm not a fan of that because it just requires too much mental gymnastics to keep up with it. TJ can do it. Matt can do it. Some of these other guys can do it. Me, I'm more of a, hey, listen, I will just buy some really good undervalued companies and I'll create a spread on them and I'll just wait until the spread gets to where I need it to go. And usually my spread will cover whatever I need to. And right now, as you probably were alluding to, because I heard you say BPYPM, commercial real estate is coming back. I mean, it's not coming back strong right this second, but I mean, did you guys talk about the Blackstone deal today? It was such a big deal. Did you guys talk
we
about
didn't.
that?
Let me say one more thing, and then we can get Doug out of here. The one thing about Robinhood as well, Doug, is if you are bullish on crypto, which I'm assuming you have some bullishness of crypto. I mean, if Bitcoin goes to 100K, which is what Carlos and Vitaly think this year is possible, Robinhood's not going to be stuck at $25. I mean, this thing's
right.
Carlos, Bitcoin's going to 150K. Fuck this 100K.
So I mean, that's another thing to keep in mind. Now, granted, Bitcoin goes to 30, Robinhood's fucked, but they've done enough with the gold announcements to get me excited about the company outside of their crypto catalyst. Those gold numbers, they're going to be insane. The additional annual recurring revenue from that they're going to get is going to be insane. The deposits are going to be insane. And if crypto gets even to like 90K, it's going to be insane. So it's one of those things you have to think about. Yeah, definitely profits are cool, but I would leave some to ride if those catalysts end up playing out for Robinhood.
How much BPYPM did you buy?
The same amount that I buy of everything, 20,000.
Okay, 20,000.
I like that. That's a good rule. 20,000.
So that's not a bad rule. That's my rule. And so it's like I was saying. So as the portfolio has expanded, buying $20,000 chunks of whatever I'm interested in has made a lot more work. And that's probably why I can't tell you what the cash flow numbers are for anything because I have 50 different positions.
Okay, so that's but I will say, like, if you are up on a 10x on one of those positions, it's one you got to be digging so deep into.
50 is a lot of positions, honestly. Yeah, you're never going to be able to manage that. That's a lot.
Yeah,
he's been managing it pretty well. He's done great for himself.
I know, but that's when you start losing track.
It's taking up way too much time, and I'm losing track of things.
Yeah, you lose track. You end up losing out on gains, right? Because you missed something. It's just
you're not doing research into what's next. You're just trying to manage your
you're at 20 positions. How many more do you know what I mean? What's next?
the one final thing I'll say about Robinhood is that although it has had a good run, we saw Coinbase go up 700%. It is one of the companies that after that gold event is prime to keep capitalizing on their momentum, right? They have tailwinds. So it's one of those things to think about because everyone's thinking, what's the crypto play? Robinhood was the crypto play. It was one of the crypto plays. But now they're continuing to be a play outside of just crypto. And so there is a lot of momentum they're going for the next year.
The momentum, I want to end it before I go. The momentum doesn't matter because at some point you just have to have a number where you were taking, when you bought that, did you say I was going to take X amount of dollars when it hits $20? Did you say that to yourself or no?
No. Wait,
you need to have an exit strategy. Me and Carlos have been talking about our exit strategy for Bitcoin for 4 years. Okay. No matter what happens, 100,000, some Bitcoin's going out the door. I don't care what happens. It's going out the fucking door, even though I think it's going higher because I want to live my life.
There is an exit strategy. It'll either be in the positive or it'll be zero. So. There's an exit
one way to
strategy.
lose 200,000.
Yeah.
180. He got the 20 back.
That's one way to lose 180,000.
Also, the other thing is just, I also think Q1, if you were going to get rid of it, again, not financial advice or whatever, but Q1 numbers we all know are going to be decent.
That's what I'm thinking.
I think it's 3 weeks away. It's nothing crazy to wait. Now,
3 more weeks.
Yeah, now CPI could fuck us on Wednesday.
Yeah, roll black. It might work out. I don't know.
No. It's not rolling black, dude. If any research on this,
I get it. There's a lot of things bullish. There's a lot of things bullish that'll be happening, and they're happening right now. It doesn't mean at some point you just take some profits and move on with.
I agree.
A certain portion. That doesn't mean that. Okay, you can't get life conflated with just trying to maximize every dollar in the stock market. Life also has to happen, and I don't want to. Once again, I don't want to worry every day about every dollar that's invested. I like to take some out, do some other things with it, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And again, at Bitcoin after the halving event really matters. If Q1 goes well for Robinhood and Bitcoin after the halving event does what people say it's going to do, a lot of plays can go well.
We're actually
that will double my portfolio. If Robinhood does what Amit thinks it's going to do, it'll double the entire.
That's the both faces. If Robinhood does what Amit thinks it's going to do.
I mean, dude, I cannot tell you. I cannot tell you how. Dude, I was in New Orleans. We were waiting to pay the bill. I walked out. I was walking on the street. We had like 10 minutes. I was literally doing calculations in my head on gold subscription leading to net income. Like, I cannot tell you how.
Well, you're a freak who does this all day long. The rest of us have other jobs, but
no, I know. But all I'm saying is like that's why I'm bullish, because I'm really diving deep into this thing. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah. All right, Chris. Doug, if you got to go, you can go. But thank you for being here.
I got to go too, guys. Peace.
You got to dip. Okay. See you, Vitaly.
Bye.
Bye.
So one of the areas I think people really should look into, and I've been kind of saying this for a while actually. Everything has a process where you've got your moments where everything goes high and then it kind of comes down, and then you've got this point in its life cycle when there's great opportunities that things are being sold for like 60-70% off, and people are just too scared to jump in. So I think a lot of people right now, if you think about it, Warren Buffett, all these guys, they say you should be willing to buy fear. When everyone else is selling, you should be buying, because usually you'll find the best opportunities. So one of the things that we're seeing, especially me, is that in commercial real estate, there are deals out there that are 70% off on some of these buildings, and smart investors with good levels of liquidity right now, they are deploying capital. Okay. So this is a 2008, 2009 moment. And one of them is Blackstone. Blackstone right now just bought literally an income REIT for like $10 billion. Now, granted, this was in multifamily apartments, and they paid not too much of a premium, but they did, pay a bit of a premium to acquire the assets. But what this is telling me is that there is now capital flowing into real hard assets. So I think a lot of times people want to be in the sexy tech companies because they think that that's where all the growth is. But if you look at real estate is one of those things that over time compounds on itself and does a really, really good job of being a cash flow generator, but then also during opportune times being a capital appreciation play also. So I'm traditionally not as bullish on housing, but there are times where housing makes sense. If you look at 2008, values of homes were 50% below the value that they were a year ago. So buying that asset, you had capital appreciation when naturally things got back to the mean again, but then also you were generating income on top of it. So I think right now, commercial real estate is very undervalued. You don't necessarily have to be in office. You could be in malls. You could be in so many things. And I think that's where I am keeping my eye and staying a little bit focused on that. I think that the returns that we're going to be able to get from that are going to be, one, safe, because it's more of a value play than anything else. Two, a lot of these assets are very, very hard to replace. Why are they hard to replace? Number one, geographic location. Like if you're looking Midtown Manhattan, even if it's a third tier building, that's still Midtown Manhattan. So that's number one. The geographical locations actually matter significantly. And then on top of it, there's not a lot of additional inventory coming to market because not anyone wants to even finance new construction. So what does this mean? That means in 3 years, there's going to be a deficit. This is just how the market works. There are times where everyone's like, oh my God, housing is crashing. No one wants to buy housing. Well, that's the best time you should be buying, when shit is crashing. And then 5 years later, everyone's like, oh my God, we have a shortage of housing. Yeah, because you weren't building the last 5 years. That is exactly what's going to happen in commercial.
But they don't say why they took it private. They're just saying that they are taking it private.
Yeah, because they bought it. They bought it out. They said, we're going to put it under our umbrella and basically make the money off of that. So as the appreciation on those, because number one, look, they bought a cash flowing asset. So all these apartments that they bought, they're not just going to be sitting around warehoused empty, right? They're going to be generating cash flow, which means that now your cost of capital, which is your interest payments that you have to pay or your return that you have to generate based off of them, you have a fixed amount. Over time, the rents will increase. So every year, 2%, 3%, whatever. And then they start compounding on the compounding, right? So
basically it's a way of offloading assets from current landlords that were getting buried from high interest rates.
Yes. Yeah. So this is where
I get it.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily a good thing that's happening to those landlords.
What do you mean? To the
rates? Yeah, that the interest rates are so high that it's squeezing these landlords. Like for example, if rates were like 3-4%, would these landlords want to sell? Probably
no,
not.
but that's where the opportunity is, right? So the thing is, for the new guys, for Blackstone.
Okay, so then but then Blackstone buys all these up, takes them private, and then we on the outside have no access.
No, but the thing is, that's what I'm saying, that there are other companies where you can take advantage of that, where they have giant pools of liquidity. And because they have giant pools of liquidity, they can actually make moves like this. So a lot of funds right now, like you look at the KKRs of the world, you look at
Chris is not talking about it philosophically. Chris is talking about making money. Carlos, you're thinking like morally if they buy up all the houses.
No. I'm not even Carlos is saying no. Carlos is talking about a private vehicle because Blackstone took them private. So normal investors like me, we can't just say, okay, let's go buy some
and what's also happening is that these guys are basically putting a band-aid over something that is technically breaking a part of the economy, that the rates are like breaking a part of the economy, and then this company comes in and buys them up. So but that's not necessarily what we want, is that all of these buildings to be owned by mega corporations. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, at some point when it comes down to it, single family, I agree with you that mega corporations should not be buying them. But I think in terms of like in terms of like malls, even multifamily like real estate where you have like 200 unit apartments, I think the bigger guys have more scale in order to actually manage those better than the mom and pop who has to always be looking for cash flow and liquidity, right? So the key right now is there are a lot of people that are making the bet in the private equity side that are very well capitalized, that can raise money from investors. And I'm not talking about mom and pop investors with $100,000. I'm talking about real, like, hey, I need $15 billion to be raised. They can raise $15 billion. And they could do it in a very like quick way, because when it comes down to it, the real winners are always going to be people that have a lot of liquidity during bad times, right? So if you think about it, if you could go back, Carlos, if you had access to unlimited money, how many houses would you be buying in 2009?
Oh yeah, of course. I'm seeing that even in my industry now, as there's a constriction, the ones that are have liquidity are able to weather this.
Exactly. So right now, that's the key. So finding companies that have the liquidity to buy up assets cheaply right now while the market is discounting them heavily, survive through this period of high interest rates for like a few years. And when rates start to come down, dude, these assets become cash flowing again. And they don't just become small cash flowing, they become very, very heavy cash flowers. So right now, if you look at how the industry typically works, you're looking for cap rates, right? So if they're buying a door for, let's say, $300,000, and it generates $36,000 in rental income, and then, that depends on the gross margin and everything else that you take out, they could be making about between 8 and 10% in cap because of just how big of a scale that they were able to buy it. Now, 8 and 10 cap right now may look okay, not as attractive, but if rates come down to like 4%, dude, that 8 cap is going to look amazing. And then if you think about it, you amortize that over time, that cash flow is going to be going higher and higher, right? Because you've got rental income that's going to be constantly going up, right? And your cost of capital is going to be near fixed to a lower amount. So right now we're at a point where people who have capital are going to do extremely well, just like they always do. This is, I think, a 10-year cycle that usually happens. And I think right now in the commercial space, there's a lot of great opportunities that, are worth it. So,
yeah. All right. Not bad, Chris. Your wife texted me you were knocked out for the beginning.
I was, man. She woke me up. She woke me up, and then I was like watching you guys for a little bit, and I was like, you know what? Let me come on here really quickly and just just
it happens.
Bring on something. It's so funny because the guy called y'all out. I don't know if you noticed.
He did. He got up here. He's like, "Why the fuck you guys not talk about anything new?" I was like, "Oh boy."
That was hilarious. I mean, we do have to keep it somewhat fresh too, right? I agree. There's a big world out there.
Or if there's a big news and you got 4 different people that are gonna have opinions on it, just to even get through that and then have rebuttals and questions. I mean, that's how the hour goes so quickly.
It's harder with 4 people, dude. Like, because I'm telling you, on my market open, market close, if I don't have 10 different stories, it's boring. So I have to know what's going on in the world. Yeah. But it's a news show. You have to be. With a podcast, it's different. But I agree. If it's just Tesla, Enphase, Bitcoin, Palantir,
with this particular like week or two, there's just been a lot of news. Like, believe me, I am fine not talking on Tesla or Bitcoin or any of them. But there's just been a lot of news, right? So.
Yep. I mean, CPI is coming up.
Do you think it's hot, dude? Do you think it's gonna fuck us, or?
To be honest, I really don't care. You know why I don't care? Because that is not the gauge that people like. The market is definitely gonna react to CPI, but do you know what the market actually gives? Like the Fed actually gives a crap about the PCE numbers, right? And PCE is trending in the right direction. So let's just for a quick. Just if you have a few minutes, you can stay. Yeah. All right. So
actually, you got to dip. You got
yeah. All right. Hey guys, I'll catch you 2 days.
Yep. See you Thursday.
Bye.
Damn it, man! I had to buy this subscription because like
what?
This thing called Macro Micro. It's actually really good data points, like especially like visualization.
How much is it?
It's about $250 a year.
Okay,
but it's good. It's good for visualization. So I just have to log into it.
I agree with you. PCE is what matters. But even those are trending a little hotter. At least that's what the banks think. Tom Lee thinks that it's going to surprise to the downside this morning. That's what he said.
You mean like PCE is going to?
Both. He thinks inflation is just not going to be a hot report, but every bank is thinking it's going to be pretty hot.
I think it's going to be hot. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious it's going to be hot, to be honest with you, but whatever. Tom Lee can say whatever he wants. But I think more importantly, PCE is the metric that we should all be going by. So even if, let's say, the market does dip on a hot CPI, I think instead of thinking of it as, oh my God, the world is on fire, just think of it as a buying opportunity. The only thing that right now gives me a bit of a pause is high oil prices, which I've been keeping my eye on very, very closely, because oil price is just one of those things that just scares the shit out of me. Because if we do get like a Russia-like event in the Middle East, then we got a problem, and that's not something that we can predict. Let me see, Cleveland Fed Nowcast. Okay, there we go. All right, so this is the Cleveland Fed Nowcast with CPI. So, a lot of times you can use the Cleveland Fed's numbers to at least gauge sentiment. And they're not super accurate, but they're not inaccurate either. So you can actually use them pretty much for directionality, right? So here is the Cleveland Fed's directionality for where core PCE is going to be going, right? So if you look at this, they've pretty much been right on the money for the most part. They've got maybe a few points here and there. And according to them, if you zoom into their numbers for, Damn it. Let me see if I can make it a little bit easier for you guys to see. Okay. You can see here that March, we did go slightly higher, right? So the numbers that we're going to get are going to be slightly higher than they were before for CPI, right? But in April, they're coming back. They're coming down again, right? So you can see a 20, almost a 20 basis, not 20. Yeah, it's a 20 basis points drop, and we're not even fully into 2024.
Hold on, they think March is going to be 3.7 on CPI.
Let's see.
Because the banks are expecting 3.4.
No, this is for core CPI, not for
okay.
General CPI. For general CPI, it's this. Hold on, let me just put this right here. For general CPI, it's going to be 3.4.
That's what everyone's
according to the Cleveland Fed. So it's going to be either 3.5 or 3.3 in the good side. But for the most part, they've been a little bit lower, and it's come a little hotter. So it could be 3.4, 3.5-ish. So if I had to make a guesstimate, I'd say 3.4, 3.5-ish would probably be the target that I'd go with. But what I think what's more important is just core. You can see here core CPI is coming down, and it's coming down nicely. So if we ignore some of the other data points that are in the CPI that don't matter to the Fed as much because they're short-term in nature, then I think instead of thinking of this as a bad thing that inflation is going up, think of it as a buying opportunity with people panicking for no reason. And especially if we look at it from the PCE perspective, which I think is more important.
So overall, you think it's going to be hot, but you don't think it's going to be that bad?
I think it's going to be hot, but I don't think we should react negatively to it. That's what I'm saying. So if we look at, this is the PCE data, right? And let's go into like the 6 month or the 1 year out. You can see here, PCE, the trend line is not broken. It's still coming down, right? So if you look at core PCE right now for the US, core PCE in April is going to be 2.59%, which is getting really to the point where the Fed is going to be able to cut at the end of the year.
By what time do you think? November that happens?
Yeah, I'd say probably by even. So according to people, they were thinking March we would get 7 cuts, but I think it's going to be more like September, maybe August-ish when then the data points right now say June is going to be cuts. But overall, I think that there's going to be cuts at the end of the year, throughout the second half, probably not in the first half. But you can see here that core is actually coming down. And I think this is the more important thing to look at.
So you don't think we're in for a hike like some of the people are?
Nah, I don't think we're in for a hike. I think right now what we're seeing is some short-term movements that are primarily caused by oil prices. And even right now, oil prices have started to normalize because the tensions in the Middle East have not been, oh my God-ish, So today, the price of oil had actually come down a little bit. Hopefully this trend keeps happening. Like I said, though, this is one of the problems with oil. It's not dictated just on supply and demand, but also on future expectations of supply and demand.
Right.
So, it's anyone's guess as to what's going to actually happen, but we'll see. But I think the one important thing that I do want to bring up, I think that there's actually weakness in the economy that no one is talking about. Have you noticed that by any chance?
Are you going to refer to jobs data or something else?
Yeah, the jobs data is really screwing with me.
It's very screwy. Well, they readjusted 167,000 jobs down from January.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but there's also the numbers are skewed towards part-time, and full-time has actually been losing jobs.
Yeah.
Did you see that? That thing is even more crazy to see. So
but it went down. It went from 3.9 to 3.8 technically. So
it feels like that with unemployment, with a lot more labor force participation coming in. So we still have a robust economy, but this jobs thing does worry me. And the other thing is this is going to go out of the realm of Chris Patel, doing real data analysis to now just doing sentiment analysis. I'm seeing more and more TikTok videos of people coming out and saying, I've been looking for a job. I can't find a job, or I won't get hired. Right now, I ask myself, why is that happening? Now, people, of course, some people are going to be like just looking for attention, blah, blah, blah. But when I see a mass amount of videos that have a very similar theme, it gets me asking, what is actually going on here? Is it just that like a lot of these jobs require certain skill that these people can't fulfill? What is going on? And I think what's happening is businesses are more or less keeping a lot of job openings out there, like they're like literally fishing. And when someone actually qualified comes in, they will pull them in, but otherwise they'll just keep the job open for a prolonged period of time. Because right now there's people that are applying 100 jobs at a time. Like that's crazy.
The thing is, if you're right about this, which there's a good chance you are right, that there is a crisis of jobs, I don't think we see the effects of it until the end of the year. I think they're going to keep it. I think for the election year, they're going to keep this shit afloat. And then 2025, who knows what the fuck's going to happen. But I don't think J-Powell is going to let this thing get up to 4.3. It's in real terms, if you're right about this, we're looking at 4.2 right now versus 3.8, which if that's the case, we got to think of a rate cut tomorrow. But I don't know.
I mean, the other thing is, it's typically speaking, it's never a good idea to be buying into the market when rates are getting cut.
Yes.
If you think about it, if you look historically, when rates cut, the market usually takes a pretty big dump. I'm not exactly sure if that's going to play out again this year, but all I know is right now, in terms of me, I'm going from growth to more defensive, and I'm going to more value, because I think value right now is going to outperform growth. Growth right now has been able to sustain, especially among the mega cap 7, by cutting their way to higher levels of profitability. So if you look at Google, Microsoft, Amazon, everyone else, it's not as organic growth as people think. If you look at their top lines, they're growing. I mean, Microsoft is definitely growing because of their AI thing, but I think a lot of what we're seeing in terms of earnings is being supercharged by two things: layoffs and buybacks. So when you start laying people off, you're going to be able to save money because now your operating costs are going to go down, and you're going to use that as operating cost savings to buy back a ton of shares. The thing is, that's not a trick that you can play forever. You can't just keep laying people off forever. You're eventually going to have to come to terms with, hey, I've cut to the bone already. Same thing with office reduction measures. Like you look at Amazon, they just had an announcement that they were going to cut some office space. Google, Amazon, they've been doing the same thing with, and I think Meta too, where they're actually cutting back on some office space. So I think that's something to keep in mind as well. So eventually, these growthy names are going to normalize a little bit, and the real value is going to be in value plays right now. So I'd say right now it's just, it's been an index person's game for the last few years. I think it's going to be a stock pickers market next few, with a lot of great value companies not being noticed by the general market. And I think right now, with everyone just doing passive investing, and I'm glad that Einhorn brought that up, where people are just buying the indexes. I think people who are doing that are going to do okay, but I think this is a real opportunity for those willing to do the due diligence, do the homework, to pick things up super cheap while the market is not giving them that attention. Very similar to what you did with Robinhood, right? Robinhood.
Go ahead, finish that.
No, I'm just saying, Robinhood, when you called it, it was like, wait a second, how does the market cap this much? And like they have like 8 billion in cash. Like, how does that make sense? Please tell me. And the thing is, like, the logic that you applied was very sound. The question is, how come none of these big guys applied that same logic?
Right.
And I think the reason why is because people have gotten so complacent, saying, whatever, I'll just do a broad general market index. I don't need to do any worrying. I don't need to, and that's basically how I'll make my money. Just sell people the S&P 500 and call it a day.
Well, the thing is, though, I still think Q1 is going to crush, because these earnings are like Oppenheimer, Jeffries, all these guys say Meta to 600, Amazon to 225. Like, all these guys are bullish that these numbers are going to be good. So when do you think the real job unemployment rate will show up in earnings? Because if it takes a year, then 2024 is still good to go.
Well, I think a lot of these analysts in these banks, whenever they come up with these price targets, it baffles me that they come up with these targets after the fact, after you've seen these massive run-ups, right? So they're just basically dragging the market in a certain direction. And if certain things don't come around, they're like, hey, listen, we're changing our price target lower. You know, like, hey, maybe you should do your research and give me a price target that actually fucking matters. You know, tell me to buy when shit is low, not tell me to buy when it's high, saying it's going to get higher. So I put a lot less faith in the analysts than I ever did before. I think analysts, they do serve a purpose, but I think at this point they're just basically following the trend and the momentum at this point. So I'm not too concerned with the analyst thing. But I do think that in terms of performance, you have to remember, if Meta goes from 500 to 550, that's only technically a 10% gain, right? Yeah. So yeah, your 1 year price target, you got a 10% gains. Well, I know there's a bunch of dividend companies right now that are doing 10% in dividends per year right now. Yeah. So why would I want to risk that capital that way when I can get both capital appreciation and dividend play in a very undervalued company that's paying out a dividend and is doing share buybacks? Like, it just, so these are the things that I hope that people take some time to do the research.
Well, the thing is also, we know if earnings are decent and we get a rate cut, the Goldilocks zone is the time in between now and that first rate cut. But given the rate cuts probably happening at the end of the year and then election cycle, we could see another rally towards the end of the year once we get that rate cut. Yeah. It might be a phenomenal 2024 when we get the rate, because when we got J Powell even signaling a rate cut, market went up. So if we actually get a rate cut and inflation legit is at 2.6, 2.7, maybe 2.4, I think the market's going to love it. The problem is, I agree with you, 2025, I think it's going to be very difficult to hold massive option positions going into 2025 or something like that. Because just like we probably are due for a cataclysmic crash. I'm not saying I want that to happen, but that happens after rate cuts historically.
Well, I mean, you need a trigger, right? You need some sort of macro level event to trigger off this.
But it's not been real estate. It should have been commercial real estate. It's not commercial real estate, as you're saying. That's not the macro trigger yet. It wasn't regional banks either. So that's another question. What would it be?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think you said it right in the morning open. Yeah, I do listen to your morning open. You said that we're in a state of purgatory.
Yeah,
which is absolutely right. I think we are in a state of purgatory for the next 6 to 9 months, where you don't know if it's going to rip higher, or if it's going to go lower. And so you're seeing these moves, these volatility spikes and downturns throughout. So you're seeing one day you're seeing a 2% rise, another day you're seeing a 1.5 drop. And so I think that those are probably opportune times to, just like I said, figure out a strategy. And I would not be holding options unless I have really, really high conviction on my specific company. At this point, my goal should be to take money off and put it in. And if I'm still bullish on a company, I'd just put it into a stock rather than the options. Like, I've been a heavy player in options. And I think someone called us out on Twitter, by the way, but you saw that, right? That we're just a bunch of options degenerates. And to a degree, I think they're right. But I am not comfortable holding a lot of options positions. I just think that there are times where you should be willing to take unusual amounts of risk using options when things are really, really oversold. But right now is not that time. Right now, I think is a time to basically take some money off the options bets and put them more into the stock bets, and not risk your capital based on, some kind of some events that could trigger a market sell-off. Because I mean, I don't think we're in a recovery phase. I don't think we're in a super growth phase. So when it comes down to it, it's almost like you're in Vegas, you're already up by so much. What are you going to do now?
It's tough too. It's tough because the market, like, it's done so well that now everyone on CNBC every day, they're just like, well, like, can it still go higher? And it's like, now everyone's like, well, inflation will come down. That'll be the reason why it goes higher. Yeah, maybe. Bitcoin goes to 100,000. Maybe that's a certain portion of the market will go higher. But I think everyone's trying to figure out what is that thing that gets it to go higher. Or the Dan Ives thesis actually is correct, that we're just beginning the AI revolution and that's what's going to get it to go higher, which has a probability of being correct. But as you said, jobs, inflation, all this macro stuff has to go correctly, because AI doesn't matter if people don't have the money to spend at these companies.
One thing I've noticed, and I know this is going to be anecdotal, but I think it's important. I've been to a lot of open houses. Because me and the wife were looking for houses, right? We've been looking for the last couple of years. I noticed that most of the houses that are being sold are old people that are dying or going to a nursing home, and their kids are just selling them. I don't know. I don't know if you've been tracking that by any chance. So,
meaning like their kids are selling their parents' house.
Because I mean, if you have like a 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom house, and the kid is just like a single person, or they only have like a girlfriend, boyfriend, and they're not having kids, they don't exactly need the additional space and the costs that come with holding a giant house, right? And also they could have a job in the city and they don't want to exactly live in the suburbs, right? So there's a lot of reasons why people would sell it. But I've noticed that happening a lot. Maybe it's just my area that has a lot of older folk in there, but for the most part, the suburbia is starting to have that demographic change where you had these old time boomers starting to pass away, and as the boomers pass away, you're having a lot of larger housing inventory come on the market. The one thing I have been noticing, starter homes are getting bought up like crazy, but the big homes are staying on the market for longer. I mean, and some of them are just priced really stupidly too. So I'm not, but the one thing I noticed is some houses that were $1 million in 2005 are $1 million today. Now, the thing is, though, why are they still $1 million? And a couple of reasons. Number one is it's really hard to find, buyers at that $1 million plus price tag in some of these areas. The other thing is right now, it's just there's a huge demographic shift of people not having kids. This boomer generations.
Do you think this is Larry Fink's thesis that if these, I guess, baby boomers are giving their homes, which is this wealth, to their millennial children, then those kids have a lot more money to spend on different asset classes, essentially?
Yeah. Right. I think what's his name said it right too. Joe Doan said it too. Bigger houses are harder to rent and cash flow. Absolutely, I agree. That's the other thing too. When you have a small starter home, you can cash flow it. You can rent it out, make some decent money off of it. The bigger houses, you can't. So right now, in smaller homes, there's like a run for homes, but in the bigger houses, it's just kind of they're just sitting there. And I'm actually seeing some good discounting too, which means that it actually might be a good time to buy a big house. But the thing is, when it comes to buying a big house, you also deal with the cost of maintaining that big ass house. You've got more yardage space. You got to spend more on like the gardening and all the other shit, then the cooling and the heating. Those bills can run you like crazy, and then you have property taxes.
So how much do you want to spend on a new house right now?
To be honest, I'd say probably like $500K. 500K would be good. I could, like, me and the wife could afford, like, based on our income and our assets, upwards of 2 million, but we're not stupid. Like, we don't need the space. Like, if we had 3 kids and and my in-laws needed to move in and stuff, yeah, I'd probably buy a much bigger home. But I view real estate, especially for myself, like a sweater, right? You want to buy something that's not too big and not too small, because either way, you're going to be uncomfortable. So buy a sweater that works for you. If you buy a house that's too big, you're going to be basically looking like a fool, right? And you're going to be spending a whole lot of money. With a small sweater, it's not going to feel comfortable because you're going to be on top of each other. So right now is a time where if you are going to buy something that's not only within your price range, but buy it within your utilization range too.
But it would be in Georgia, right?
Yeah. More than likely to be Georgia.
500K in Georgia is like a mansion, right? Like
no. It used to be.
What do you mean it used to be? It's not like
no.
Like 500K in New Jersey is like maybe 1 bedroom or something. But
no. In Georgia, especially like the northern suburbs. Like, here's the thing about Georgia: if you want to live like super. Like, if you want to live in like the southern part of Georgia, land is cheap, homes are cheap, but it's just not, how do I even describe it? There's not a lot of opportunities for other things out there. But if you go like to Atlanta and like the northern suburbs with good schools, those will run you pretty good amount of money. And it's not going to be 500,000. It's going to be like closer to 700-800 right now. But that doesn't mean that prices can't come down a little bit, because I have seen some really good deals at like 600,000, which I wouldn't mind. I think 600 could work. The only thing is we don't have kids. So even if, why would we want to spend the additional money? Like for me right now, the biggest thing is my wife being happy at her job where she's going to be there like 10 plus years. Because if she tells me like, hey, I found a job, I think I'm going to be here 10 plus years, this is going to be great. Then I'd say, okay, let's buy a house within like 5 to 10 miles of it. Because I think that's the one thing that I think a lot of people really mess up on, where they live far away from their homes. And if you ask me, like my wife right now, she drives like an hour and some change every day each way. So, so my thing with her is, do you like this job? And if she likes it, but there are definitely like wants and needs. So I'd say to anyone out here, when you buy a house, buy it based on where you work, man. If you think about it, if you spend an hour and a half each way commuting, that's 3 hours a day. Multiply that by 3, that's almost like 15 hours a week. Multiply that by 4, it's 60 hours a month in just travel costs. Just
would you buy the new car in cash?
No. There's so many good deals out there right now, dude. Buyers incentives are crazy right now. Right now is a great time to freaking pick up 0% APR deals. They're finally coming back. I don't know if you saw that by any chance.
No, I didn't.
Like, what, your dad bought a car, right? Like, did he buy what interest rate did
he got 60 months, I think 4.9 APR.
That's not bad. For Honda?
Yeah, he could have done 3.6 or something if he did 36 months. So he just did 60.
Nah, he did right. He did the 60 months. You could just take that same money, put it into Robinhood.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many
or put it into the S&P 500 and basically it'll pay for itself. Like I told my wife the same thing. I said to her, we could just buy the car out cash, but why would we? The money that we have is generating more money than the current interest rate that we're paying on the car. So yes, the car has a note on it, but I think it's like 3.9 ish right now for 60 months.
I think people like the flex of paying in cash, or they like to have no stress of the debt, but the stress is not really there if you have the cash, and the flex is stupid. The flex is just whatever, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Have you watched Back to the Future?
I have. I saw all of them.
What did you
think?
I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it.
I think it introduced a lot of different concepts of how, like, going back in time, like, you can actually change something. Because technically you can't do that. No. He actually went back in time and fixed everything.
Right.
So he was living in a really like broke. It was all that one thing, and that's the thing that gets me. Where I ask myself, like right now, I would consider myself to be a successful person. But I'm sure that there are very singular events in my past that have led me to where I am today. And it's something that just happened that you don't even like notice, or you take I know exactly when it was for me, why I am who I am today. Do you? Okay. I was, I think 16 at the time. Not 16. I was 15. I wanted to go bowling with my friends. In like a different part of Brooklyn. And I went to my dad and I said, hey dad, can I get some money to go bowling? And my dad's like, no, like, what do you mean you want to go bowling? Like, what the hell is bowling? You know how Indian parents are, like, what is this bowling nonsense? You can just stay at home and watch TV, right? So he didn't give me any money. And so I was like super angry about it. My friends like, come, like we'll cover you for the bowling, but I still had to get there. But my dad didn't give me any money for like the Metro card or whatever. So I was like, oh, fuck it, I'll walk. Now, the thing is, I walked the entire way to the bowling alley. And I'm not talking about like it was like a few miles. I'm talking about this was like a good solid 8-10 miles of walking.
Dude, for bowling's not even fun, dude. What the fuck?
I wanted to hang out with my friends, right? So I walked.
Be a girl there, dude. There had to be a girl. No one walks 10 miles.
No. There was no girl. I wanted to hang out with my friends. So I walked all the way there. See, the funny thing is I had my green Metro card, but they don't work on the weekends. Like, the ones for the students, like you get a student
you just
Metro
jump
card.
the fence or whatever.
I'm an asshole, bro. I mean, back then the cops would actually fucking get after you. Like nowadays, nowadays it's okay to just jump the turnstile, but back then that shit actually mattered. I'm talking about the 90s where, you know, like they could arrest you. The transit cops would hide behind the fucking poles and shit, you know, just waiting for you to swipe your card, like, and they would get you. So I still remember a few people, they were trying to use the student cards, and they were like adults. They would take their kids' cards and try to go through the MTA that way, and whatever. But the point is, I walked that 8 miles, and let me tell you, boy, I hated my dad like there was no tomorrow. I get there, and here's the fucked up part. I didn't time it right. Everyone was done bowling, and they're like, "Hey, Chris, what's up, man? We're already done," you know. And so we hung out for a little bit, and I said, "All right, let me go back." The thing is, though, I did not want to tell any of my friends that what had just happened. And so I was like, I didn't want to tell them that I didn't have any money to, you know, to get home. I could have just borrowed some money from a friend or whatever if I really wanted to, but I didn't want that. So I walked back. And the thing is, the entire walk back, it got dark. And let me tell you, boy, the entire time I was just like simmering. The entire time I was going, I was simmering with hate. And the entire way back, I was simmering with, I'm going to fucking prove this guy wrong. I'm going to fucking never have to ask him for $1 ever again. Blah, blah, blah. Like just all this just anger and everything else just came to a head. But I ended up, by the time I got home, my dad was like, "Oh, how was your day? How was the bowling?" And I was like, "Oh, it was okay, blah, blah, blah." I didn't really tell him anything. But I think the most important thing I came away from that was that if I ever wanted to enjoy anything, I'd have to work for it. So since then, I've always had a job. I've done people's homework for money. Yep. I've worked God knows how many jobs doing so many things. And the good thing is I've never ever had to go up to somebody and say, "Can you lend me some money?"
Right.
You know,
right.
I said to myself, I will never put myself in a position ever to have to ask someone, "Hey, can I borrow some money to, you know, to basically do this small thing?" Because I think that's the most humiliating thing in the world. I mean, with banks, I'll go do it. That's fine. You know, like it's different. You know, I'll take your money all day. But in terms of like going to a friend to borrow so I can go do something, like,
you know, I had a friend who a couple of years ago, he kept asking me for like $100 every other month. And he's one of my best friends from high school, but I could tell he was struggling, and I would send him the money. I would never even ask for it back. He eventually sent it back because he's a good guy. But like, it always felt good to be the person who's able to help a friend versus be the guy who has, like, dude, if you're asking me for $150, that means like something's wrong, right? Like you're really struggling. It's a good position to be in if you're able to help out other people, you know?
It is what it is, man. So it's one of those things that just changes you. You think there was any singular events in your life that changed you?
Yeah. Once I realized I was fucking hilarious, I think that, you know, life changed.
I don't think that was a realization.
Bro. I really think life changed.
That was delusion, dude.
No, that wasn't delusion, dude. Dude, it was probably had that real. You talking about one singular moment. I remember that shit every single morning on the morning open. I remember I'm fucking hilarious. So I think that a realization is a constant evolution of the nature of my existence. Nick, can I get 150?
I think at some point, seeing your transformation into who you are today, I think there was a point in your journey as a content creator where you said, "You know what? I fucking made it. And you know what? If I can make it to this level, I can go to the next level, and I can go to the next level." And maybe you didn't notice it, but I noticed it. And maybe it was this Vlad interview. Maybe it could have been something earlier than that, but there's definitely something different about you now that, like, you are no longer a striving content creator. Because you know what? There is a hurdle that you have to get past when you do content. Some people, they make it past that, I don't know, maybe that 1,000 subscriber mark or that 5,000 or the 10,000. It just depends on each person's hurdle level. But I think you have gotten over the hurdle to the point where now you can actually turn this into a viable, like, thing for yourself, you know. And I don't know when it happened. I really don't, because everyone's hurdles are different. But at this point, I can safely say, you know, regardless of where I am today, there will be a day where you hit 1 million subs. You know, I can't tell you when it's going to be because it's just not how life works. It'll get there, though. It'll get there. You know, this was
a big thing. Speaking of content that happened yesterday, so we got to follow by Miss Wood.
So wait, Kathy Wood is following you?
Yeah, dude, she followed me. Dude, it was so funny because, dude, on Friday I got the Kathy Wood followed you notification, and I clicked it. I got kind of excited. I was like, oh, Kathy, and then it was some random bot Kathy account. I was like, all right, whatever. And then last night it says Kathy D Wood followed you back, and I was like, followed you back? That means I'm following her. And then like in milliseconds, I click on the notification. And then I just see, and I've been checking it all day just to be like, was it a mistake? Like, did she mean to do? And it's still there. So I think
just keep it up.
I agree with what you're saying. The one thing I'll say is there's probably a moment where I feel like in content it started to make more sense, and I don't really know what that moment is. But I try not to think that quote unquote I've made it, because the thing I've told you, and you and me, I think, have done decently in content, because you with your Patreon, me with YouTube, is because we both know this shit dies out very quickly. Media is the most competitive business on the planet. You don't show up for a morning open one day. All right, you can take one day off. Maybe you could take 2 days off. You take 3 days off, you're the algorithm, people, right? Like, it's very hard. You with your Patreon, you're not answering people's questions. You're not taking calls, even when, you probably shouldn't be taking their calls late at night, but you want to be a good person, which is why you go the extra mile. You'll be late to Finance Junkies because you're on a Patreon call, because you want that person to get value. Same thing for me with content, is I just want people to get value. And so I'm not the smartest guy in the world. Someone texted me this today. They're like, yo, I started watching you 2 years ago, and I just love that you were upfront, that you said you didn't know what the fuck you were doing, or you didn't know what a market cap was, but you were willing to learn. And that honesty, and then the willingness to learn, wake up 2 hours earlier before the market open and study the news so you can actually talk about stuff. I think people respect that. But feeling as if you made it, whether it's with investing, Patreon, YouTube, is the quickest way to feel like you didn't make it, right?
I think someone said Chris is Amit's master. Dude, it's not like that. It's more like an older brother that's just basically looking out for his younger brother. So if his younger brother is stepping into some shit, it's the big brother's job to kind of check him a little bit. Not to say don't do it, because I mean, at the end of the day, a big brother's job is to push him into the shit too sometimes. Get your ass in there. But it's more or less, and it's the same thing with, I think, Carlos and Vitali as well, where we all kind of serve to be that voice in your head that you may not have naturally as a younger person. Like when I was in my 20s, I didn't have a voice in my head saying, hey, don't do that. It's only after the 30s and 40s that like that voice starts to become stronger and stronger, making you realize like that's a bad person. Don't hang out with that person.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I think at 26, I'm relatively young to be like trying to go out there and build a media career. However, the principles I was raised with that come from my mom, and then you have been very good echoing those same principles, which is why you and me get along so well, is just like one basic thing, which is be fucking grateful and respectful that people care about you, that they're willing to take the time to message you, willing to take the time to watch. Like I was late to the market open the other day by like 2 minutes, and there was like 150 people waiting, and all of them were commenting like, yo, where you at? Blah, blah. And my mom was reading these comments for the first time in the chat, and she was just like so grateful that people actually cared. So it's that gratitude that doesn't go away. And you and I, over the past few years, have been involved with some figures on this platform that have not been grateful, that have been narcissistic to a different degree, and that have basically treated their audience like they're kings and their audience are peasants. And I think you and me have never done that, never thought of doing that, never want to do that. And that's a difference in terms of success when it comes to content.
Yeah, and I think overall everyone is at a different point in their journeys in terms of like learning how to invest. So even the stuff that I say, like I don't expect people to pick it up right away. It just doesn't work that way. A lot of what I'm saying is coming from a combination of sometimes common sense, and sometimes I could be wrong, and I'm still learning myself. So don't think that I'm infallible by any means. Trust me, I've had my fair share of not so great picks on things, or, directional moves, but I try to be as logical as possible and try to bring in as much due diligence as I can when it comes to making an investment, and then basically sharing that information with you guys. And hey, if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, I'll be the first to say, listen, I was wrong, but I do think my Palantir puts are going to make it. I don't care what you guys say.
We'll see.
I don't care. Right now, they got close. They were in the money a couple of weeks ago when it dropped to like 21 something.
Oh, so you could have closed them for a profit that day.
Well, the thing is, I'm in profit with my $16 puts, right? Where I actually,
but the spread itself is not profitable yet.
No, it's not yet. No. I mean, I'm down maybe like $200 on a $4,000 position. So it's like, it's sitting in purgatory right now, basically. where the $16 is decaying, but that damn fucking 21 just won't come, bro.
It's not going
it's
to 21. It's hard for it to get. The CPI might get it there, but it's not. There's so much resistance at 2180.
All I'm hoping for is general market, like a SaaS market correction, and then Ballinger coming down. But then my snowflake will get crushed too, more than it's already been crushed. So I'm in both. It's like I want Palantir to go down so I could say I was right, but I also don't want it to go down because then it's like Snowflake's gonna go down. So I don't know, bro. I don't know.
Well, so here's the last thing I'll say on why I think we're doing okay with content. I think we are both genuinely excited to make content. So when I wake up in the morning, I cannot tell you, now there's like, 1,400 people every morning. When there were 200, I was the same. Good morning, like just super fucking hyped for the morning because I'm like, all right, we're another day. It's on planet Earth. I get to talk to some people, get to give my thoughts on what's going on. Let's make their day exciting. Let's do it. I noticed this early on in Palantir Weekly in 2022, where you would make the episode more exciting because back then the stock was at $7. It was very not exciting. You would just, start up conversations, even if it was just to poke around a little bit to get the content to be interesting. And I think if you don't do that, you're not going to win when it comes to content. Like people have to click on you and feel that they're getting into an experience, even if it's a mellow, laid back experience like you, because you're so intellectual. People love hearing what you say, or it's a little bit more energetic like me, and people are getting energy versus just the actual analysis. And I think both of those are valid, and it's important.
So it's like Chris buying Snowflake just to spite Palantir. No,
yeah.
It's not.
See, you do shit like this, which is what people start questioning your analysis when you do shit like this.
No, dude, no. I actually do think Snowflake is gonna do well, bro. I really do. I think Palantir is fake AI. Okay, what is that? What did the bear guy say? AI imposter? No,
dude, I want Palantir to get to $30 fucking bucks. So you have to eat these fucking words for the rest of your life at this point now.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I know.
Edwin, who he called really, really wrong. He never, the thing is that with him, he never goes back and says, hey, I was wrong. Do you know what he also called short a long time ago that didn't work out?
No.
Celsius.
Really?
He wrote this giant piece on why Celsius was complete BS.
When did he write this?
Blah, blah. I think in like 2001, when that shit
not
was
2001,
like
dude. The guy's like 26 years old. He's not
2001. Sorry, 2021. Sorry.
Oh, like he was writing Substacks in 2001.
Celsius. What is it called? The Bear Cave.
Yeah, real quick. Shout out to ET. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Keep it up. The effort, value, consistency does not go unnoticed, and we all appreciate everything you guys do. Mid to a milli, Chris, you're a beast. Shout out to you, ET. ET's been here since
yeah. Dude, you know who I missed that I haven't seen lately in a while?
Who?
Our friend Doom Shallot. You remember him?
Oh, he still comments under my videos. Yeah, he's awesome.
He does. He's still around.
Yeah, dude, he watches mainly Palantir content, so he's probably not in these chats. But
gotcha. Bear Cave, and then hold on, Celsius. So
the other thing I'll say while you're pulling this up is, again, this idea of excitement when it comes to content. I really do think it is defining variable because I've tapped into other people's live streams and I just noticed the difference between theirs and mine is night and day. Because I'm over here fucking TSM just got $6 billion from Biden. Like I need to make that a thing from an analytical perspective, but also from an energetic perspective. And then you got other people that just don't give a fuck. But you're live, people are there right there in the moment. You got to kind of give a fuck. And so I think that also really matters. When it comes to building content.
Yeah, here it is. See, problems at Celsius. He wrote that in October 1 of 2020 when Celsius
was $1 billion.
Yeah.
What's it right now? Celsius, like 20 billion?
24 billion, I think. So,
dude, I think this guy makes like $600K a year off this Substack as well. That's what I heard.
It's a 19 point. Celsius is about 19.51. So basically 10x, a little more than 10x before.
What was this?
He had this entire things, huh?
What was his thesis? Was it just
there were some auditing? I think he had some good points with some auditing.
He loves calling companies frauds, dude. He fucking loves calling companies frauds for some reason.
Yeah, but I don't. Like I said, I don't know. You could call him by phone. You can reach the author by calling him by a phone. That's crazy. Don't call him.
Number?
Don't call him.
Uh-oh.
Don't call him.
450 people just thought, oh boy.
Don't fucking call him. That's such a dick move.
If you do call him, it's not our fault. That's public on the internet.
No, dude, don't call him. Don't.
I don't think you should, but people are people. They're gonna go crazy, right? Like,
yeah,
he's gonna get calls tonight.
Dude, you don't even. Dude, the Palantir fucking community is. They're not as bad as the Tesla community, but bro.
Dude, can you just join the community again, dude? Can you just swallow your pride and buy some shares at 22?
Fuck no.
Buy 1,000 shares. It's $22,000. It's a drop in the bucket for you. Do you know how much people would love you again if you in the Palantir community?
No, I don't do it for love. I'd rather
not overvalued at 22, dude. It's
overvalued.
Even if it's
gonna come down.
Even if it is, like, it's not.
How about this? If it drops below 21 and my puts do print a little bit, I will use the proceeds to buy more Snowflake. How about that?
Oh my God. Right. You got to give Bergman his $2,000, dude. We got to have that happen.
I gave him his money.
You really? You gave it to him? Oh,
yeah. I did it right away. Yeah.
Dude, you should have done it on camera.
Bergman is good. You know, I sent him the money right away. I'm a man of my. He even offered. He's like, hey, you don't have to do it. I'm like, no, dude, I'm good. I'm not the type of person that's not going to pay. So I paid Bergman. That's. I actually do pay out my bets. So
what's fair value for Palantir?
16 probably. You know,
you're not giving them any premium, dude. When you give them 16, it's like
they're at the top of the range in terms of valuation. But
I mean, you're right. You're right. I'm not saying you're wrong in that. You're right.
They're just really. Like I said, it's hard.
I think it's going to be a company that's always overvalued, and people want this fucking stock. The liquidity around Palantir is stupid. Like, there's so many people that want this stock. They do. Alex Karp just kind of executes on Q1, and I think he's really going to execute. I think it's going to be a good quarter. Same thing for Celsius. So many people wanted Celsius.
Let me show you. Damn it, this guy. Now, granted, this is from Altimeter, so, you know, take it with a grain of salt.
Dude, this guy's bag holding a lot. He fucked up on Google, fucked up on Snowflake, fucked up on Tesla. The only thing he got right was
Brad Gertzner.
He only got Meta right this year. That's it.
Okay, Microsoft, so these are the different multiples for some of the SaaS companies out there. So you can see here, Palantir is trading at from an enterprise value at a much higher premium right now than Snowflake is. The thing is, in terms of operating margin,
sucks, dude. There's nothing exciting about Snowflake.
Man, Snowflake's more exciting.
Did you see the clip Arnie posted? The Databricks CEO.
Yeah, I saw that as Snowflake wasn't really doing AI.
Dude, Databricks is a respected company. You can't say you don't respect Databricks.
I know, I agree. I
agree, but fuck Snowflake, basically. I mean,
but Snowflake is doing AI now, and they got someone who's gonna really shine for them, man. And they, like I said,
look, I think it's gonna be a good trade for you because it sold off 35%. But long term, I don't know if Snowflake's like.
Nah, Snowflake will do really good, man. But Snowflake right now, in terms of valuation, is way below Palantir. Palantir is up there. But then again, Palantir at 25 was at the top of the range in terms of multiple, right? Just because
it got to 2750 though, because like that's what I'm saying. Like people got
when did it get to 2750?
The day they announced the Titan contract, Mariana from Bank of America upgraded these bitches to 28, and then the stock went to 2750. And
holy shit.
It had an exciting day. I mean, people want this stock, dude. They need a couple catalysts, even though they've had a bunch throughout the past couple of months. It's up 40% year to date, though. I think it's going to be boring for a while because market's going to let it chill for a bit.
Yeah. But in terms of like multiples right now, multiples are, you know, for SaaS are a little high, but whatever, man. We'll see what happens. But I am a true believer in Snowflake. I'm not just saying that to spite Palantir, even though that's
yes, you are. We know you are. It's okay.
No, I'm not.
If you were sitting on your $8 average on Palantir, you would not be saying any of this shit about it's overvalued. Like you would just be chilling. Like, it's
first of all, you know me enough to not to fucking sell when it got much higher than that. When it turned 16, I would have sold. Unlike these other guys who are like true believers, I'm more like, hey, the valuation is too high. I'm selling. You know, I'll take my money. I'll deploy it somewhere else. You know. No, but that's also why you guys are beating me right now in Palantir, because you guys held your conviction, you know.
But dude, that's the crazy thing about this is like when I interviewed you, I'm trying to find the video. When I first interviewed you in fucking January 2022, I was like, oh, this guy, he's military background, check for Palantir, healthcare IT, big check for Palantir, and he's a long-term investor. So in my head, I'm like, oh, he's never gonna sell Palantir. Then one day you're like, oh, fuck this shit, it's overvalued. And I was like. And then I got to know you, and I was like, "Oh, Chris, he'll hold some shit long, but he's gonna get out when he thinks the valuation gets icky, which is what you should do as an investor.
Well,
then you have the cult of Palantir that's just never selling.
It's not so much in terms of like, okay, so if you think of it from an investor standpoint, I used to be a lot more, oh my God, this company is going to do extremely well, blah, blah, blah. And you would buy into it with hopes and dreams. That's the Carlos and Vitaly way of approaching things, right? It's like, this company is going to revolutionize autonomous driving. Y'all just don't know it, and they'll hold for like 5 years, 10 years. So they'll live with underperformance for 5 years. Me, I'm not about that life. I'm like, hey, listen, I see opportunity, but at some point they have to deliver on that opportunity. Now, does that mean that I'm always going to be right? No, obviously I've missed my fair share of huge gains, but I've also made gains in other things too. So I think overall our gains even out anyway. Yeah. The point is, I used to be that guy wishing for that pie in the sky. I don't do that. Now I'm a realist where I see like, hey, this company's growth prospects are slowing down significantly. What's the reason for that? Is it something that they can come back from? Is it something they can recover from? Is it something that's sustainable? And if they can't do it, I'm not going to be in it long term. So right now with Palantir, I think that they have growth, but I'm not so sure that it's sustainable. But I could be wrong on that. And it does feel shitty not to be in it with you guys. I'll be honest. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, I want to be in Palantir. But I also know that if I couldn't hold with conviction, then you really want me to be there and Darth Vader it again? Yeah. Probably not, right? So
yeah, I mean, Meet Kevin's going through it right now with Tesla and what he's having to deal with.
The funny thing is, Meet Kevin, he's like, I am bullish on Tesla long term. I just think in the short term, this is not a great place to be. And
what do you think of Boomer Mama calling his ass out and saying he's just trying to?
I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything.
Chris, like I talked about her once. I don't. She was a bit rude there.
I think people who don't understand how basic capital deployment works should not have any comments on how things are going to roll. Like I still remember the day that when I was watching her interview with like the live with Ross Gerber, and they were trying to figure out, oh, what are these short-term investments? I'm super excited for that. And I was just like, wait, should she not know that Tesla has treasuries? Yeah. So it's things like that.
Character. She's I do think she said the quiet part out loud, which is that Meet Kevin's trying to talk down the stock because he wants to get in cheaper. I don't think he thinks he has that big of an impact on Tesla's float, but he's just being a realist. But her saying it the way she did, it was pretty aggressive. Not like it's not that she couldn't say it, but she just called him out straight out, and she's like, "You're a fucking liar." And she didn't say that, but it kind of felt like that, and that's where I think people were turned off.
I think what it comes down to, sometimes people they fall in love with a stock and they fall in love with a company to the point where they hold it so close and dear to them that if you say anything negative, it's almost like insulting their kid, even if their kid is a little like idiot. If you have a kid that's like being a freaking menace and someone says, like if it's one of you, like if it's mom or dad says like you need to behave, people be like, oh yeah, that's okay. But if like an outsider comes and says, hey, your kid's being a menace, what'd you say about my son? Would you say it? So it's like, That's the thing. So yeah, she is a boomer mama. She is a Tesla boomer mama where she's just being a mama to her Tesla people, to the stock, which is fine, I guess.
But which is one thing I prided myself on. When people talk shit about Palantir, I really don't get defensive about it. I'm like, all right, dude, like that's fine.
You have a different opinion. It's okay.
You have a different opinion. That's okay, right? Yeah. You want to tell everybody what we both did with our TFC spreads? Because I thought this was hilarious when we were texting each other. So me and Chris, we both loaded up on TFC a while ago, and he sold his spreads for, I don't know how much he made, 30, 40, 50%, whatever, a while ago to load up in Celsius. Obviously a really good decision.
Yeah.
So he texted me the day I came back from the Robinhood Gold event. He's like, how much TFC you have? I'm like, bro, I got rid of all of it for like 35%. I made like $5,000 off of the whatever thing, 25 grand, whatever I put in. And I dumped it all into Robinhood options at 14. And so what he did with Celsius, with his TFC, we were both supposed to hold TFC for like a 4x. And we both saw a better opportunity, quite frankly, than TFC, because it's going to take time.
The thing is, I still have some TFC. Don't get me wrong. I just don't have a lot because
I got rid of all of it. I got rid of all.
Dude, Celsius was such a good opportunity, man. I just could not pass up Celsius. Like the market was just being really, really ridiculous with it. The valuation,
you were right,
just
dude,
like you saw.
$50. At
Yeah.
$50, that was the shit went to $100 fucking. And then
Yeah.
same thing with Robinhood at 14. I was like, these options are really cheap. And it's just funny that we both had a thesis, but as we've been talking about, sometimes you can look at opportunities and be rational and say, what's the better risk reward? And then make a decision. And then boom.
Yeah. That's interesting, man. How right now things are playing out nicely. Regional banks are not failing. Like I said, I'd say make sure you do your homework on commercial real estate. Like I don't know if you saw commercial real estate today. Not just commercial, but
I saw
all the
G was
REITs.
up. Yeah.
A lot of them rallied today. Vornado rallied, BXP rallied. So the one thing I will say, and people have to be very careful with, is there are REITs out there that are zombies. Do not buy those. There are good REITs out there that are perfectly situated and they have the capital right now to go after a lot of these discounts. So you really, really have to deep dive into these companies to understand what the true value is. So I think a lot of times people just automatically assume like, hey, I could just buy any REIT because it's undervalued. And trust me, it'll crush you. Like I'll give you an example. Let me just show you guys one really quickly. So let's see. Okay. This right here is called Office Properties Income Trust. This right here is about $1.96. At one point, this thing went from $100 down to this. So you could see that they've had literally a massive, massive drawdown. So some people think, oh, well, this is like a value play, right? And it's only a $95 million company. But if you look at its debt structure, the debt structure is crazy. How much money that they've had to shell out in additional interest payments just to refinance some of their debt. So let me just put it right here. Hold on. Office proper.
Are you buying this thing?
Fuck no. No. This is like one step away from bankruptcy at this point. Now, the thing is, they have really good assets across the country. So they have like a really big portfolio. They have a lot of great assets. They just recently cut their dividend. But the bigger problem is their debt, which is not going to be here. Let me see. Events, SEC filings. And I really hope people start to really look at this more than they look at like the headlines. Let me see. I have to show another screen. And I think this
400 people still being here. Yeah, I guess this is a late pod for us tonight.
Hold on. 9. Let me see if I can find the data point.
Okay, I'll go to the comments. Let me know when you got it.
Yeah.
Kevin says, I'm digging the fits. That's awesome. I went to the gym today, guys, for the first time in like 2 months. And I did 500 calories on the treadmill, so like 4 miles. And then I did the sauna for 25 minutes. So I feel good.
So they do have a lot of great investment grade assets. I mean, what is that thing called? Counterparties, which is always a good thing. So you can see here that, like they have offices that they leased out to Google, to the government, Bank of America, Tyson Foods, ServiceNow. So, in terms of like office leasing, they actually have a pretty good counterparties. The problem is their financing, which is crazy when it comes to right here. So their real estate assets, they total up to about 3.9 billion. Their liabilities come out to be about 2.7. So there's about $1 billion in equity, in shareholders' equity. So about 1.2 billion. So some people would look at this and be like, oh my God, this is a value play. Like this is going to be great. But the problem tends to come when you look at the refinancing.
Because the interest on the refinancing is
like they just had to issue notes for like 9%. So damn it, I can't find, like I have to look for it, right? Oh, there we go. Senior secured notes right here. Look at what they had to pay, dude. 9% on senior secured notes just to refinance the debt that was coming due. And they've got more debt that's coming due in the next year. And on top of it, they've got all these leases about to expire, which means that every counterparty is going to be looking for a huge discount to basically release, right? And so this is the problem. So how do you deal with this? I don't know, man. So
your point is there are some bad apples in the context of the REITs, even though there's opportunities.
Yes, there are a lot of bad apples in the REIT category because it all depends on access to capital right now. So if you have access to capital, you're going to be fine. If you don't have access to capital, you're going to have to freaking shell out a lot of money just to refinance the crap that you have going on. So that's how the game works in real estate. So, you know,
do you think, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, imagine right now you had a mortgage, you know, at a 4%, and then like it expires next year and you have to refinance and it's 9% now. You're not going to be able to afford that house anymore.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
Do you think SoFi is going to pop on earnings?
I don't know, dude. I have no idea. SoFi is at this point a very, I don't know. It's just
care.
It's a bank. Sorry, guys. It's a fucking bank. Like, what do you want me to say, man? It's not even that good of a bank. It's just a bank.
I have a position that I'm going to sell on earnings. If we pop to like 970, I should make like $5-6 grand, which I think.
Yeah, we should get Steve back on here. Someone's like, we miss Steve.
Dude, he has like a new job, right? And he's like so busy with that job.
Yeah,
I was on the phone with him yesterday. I mean today.
Yeah, he wrote a pretty good article on a company that I had looked at before, Crown Castle Holdings. So he did an article on them. So I still have to read it, but you know.
Okay, last question. Do you have any worries about global war potentially?
No.
China, Taiwan, Russia, Hamas, Taco Bell versus my stomach. You know what I mean?
No, I don't think so.
Dude, I don't even like Taco Bell. I don't even eat it. I feel like
I'm getting sick of Taco Bell, dude. Taco Bell just does not hit the same as it used to.
Wait, you're in Georgia. Chick-fil-A is like religion down there, right?
Yeah.
So you get Chick-fil-A a lot, I'd imagine.
I mean, like once every
week.
My wife, it was like once a week for a while, and now my wife has been cutting back
because she's my go-to at Chick-fil-A. Huh? What's your meal?
Spicy chicken it's a spicy chicken combo. You know. The sandwich.
What sauce? Barbecue or Chick-fil-A sauce?
Believe it or not, it's the one I like ranch.
Oh, and I like
their buffalo something. I like the buffalo sauce too. There's other one. I keep forgetting the name. Damn it. Whatever.
Joe says, "Is it true that Steve left because no one wants to do alternative investing?" He sent me a video today of some guy on CNBC talking about alternative investing. Yeah, Chick-fil-A is my favorite, but in Georgia, Chick-fil-A is like the food that everyone eats.
Yeah. Usually Polynesian sauce. There you go. Izzo got it. Polynesian sauce. That is the bomb. Yeah.
I can't eat any sauce other than barbecue, dude. Barbecue. Yeah. That's it. That's fine. Every other sauce to me is like much.
All right, dude. I'll see you. Have a good one.
All right. Thank you all for being here. We'll see you Thursday. Have a good one, guys.
Later.
See you Thursday. Bye.